Chapter 1493 Chapter 1493 Sky-high floating platform. For the next 10 days or so, Lu Ming stayed in the library and flipped through the books. He carefully read through the cultivation insights left behind by the Cloud Dragon Valley Master, which gave Lu Ming a lot of inspiration. After that, Lu Ming returned to the cave abode. A piece of heavenly Dao stone floated above Lu Ming's head. He was immersed in a deep state of enlightenment. The heavenly Dao stone would slowly become smaller and smaller as the martial artist comprehended it, and finally disappear. After a few days, when a heavenly Dao stone had disappeared, Lu Ming changed to another heavenly Dao stone. Lu Ming was immersed in cultivation. Of course, Lu Ming did not blindly comprehend the chaos realm. Every day, he would spend time cultivating the godly sword technique. The divine sword technique could strengthen one's soul and increase the power of soul attacks. Lu Ming would not miss out on this secret skill. It would be of great help to him if he cultivated it to a high level. In addition, Lu Ming did not forget about the 13 accumulated power strikes and the Chaos Sky-turning seal. He would cultivate them every day. Time flew by, and 3 months passed in a flash. On this day, Lu Ming stopped cultivating. The chaos domain is indeed very difficult to cultivate. It's too slow to improve. Lu Ming sighed. After 3 months of non-stop cultivation using the heavenly Dao stone, his primal chaos domain had not even reached the peak of the 3rd grade, much less the 4th grade. One should know that this was aided by the heavenly Dao stone. The heavenly Dao stone was so precious that even Sage Realm experts would yearn for it. Other martial emperors and martial artists could not have a treasure like the heavenly Dao stone to assist in their cultivation at all, unless they were the top geniuses of a certain sect. However, they could also be like Lu Ming, using the heavenly Dao stone to cultivate all the time. In 3 months, he had used up nearly 30 heavenly Dao stones, but his chaos domain had yet to reach the peak of the 3rd level. It was clear how difficult it was to cultivate the chaos domain. As the level of the chaos domain increased, the difficulty of cultivation would also increase. Previously, he had been able to improve so quickly because he had refined 3 royal fruits and watched the battle between the Titan devouring bull and the 3-eyed creature. Now that he was cultivating normally, his progress was slower. Other than the Chaos Realm, he had made rapid progress in other areas. Lu Ming had cultivated the 13 accumulated power strikes to the 5th level. When he struck out with the spear, there were 10 layers of explosive power. The power was shocking and it had become Lu Ming's strongest attack besides the Chaos Sky-turning seal. It was even stronger than when he used the prison-suppressing heavenly art. It also changed Lu Ming's attack methods. The Chaos Sky-turning seal had also improved. It had been cultivated to the 3rd level. Other than being more powerful, Lu Ming was also more comfortable with using it. The godly sword technique was also progressing very quickly. Lu Ming's soul had been condensed by the world refinement bell of tribulation and was dozens of times stronger than ordinary people. It was very suitable for him to cultivate the soul attack technique. After this period of cultivation, not only did Lu Ming's soul force become stronger, but the attack power of the divine sword technique was also rapidly increasing. Its power was shocking. Lu Du was very satisfied with the improvements in these aspects. It was just that the improvement of the chaos domain was too slow. I can't cultivate like this. I have to speed up my cultivation. I heard that the sacred cultivation ground in Dragon God Valley, the sky-connecting floating platform, can help people comprehend the heavenly Dao and cultivate their domain. Let's go and have a look. Lu Ming ended his cultivation and planned to make a trip to the sky-connecting floating platform. For a big sect like Dragon God Valley, there were many wonderful places that could help people cultivate. The sky-reaching floating platform was such a holy land for cultivation. It was extremely famous in Dragon God Valley. The disciples of Dragon God Valley only needed to pay the raw stones to enter. Lu Ming left the Cloud Dragon Valley and flew towards the depths of the snow mountain. Soon, Lu Ming landed in front of a canyon. The sky-connecting floating platform was in the middle of a few big snow mountains. Two of the snow mountains formed a canyon passage. If one wanted to enter the sky-connecting floating platform, they had to go through this passage. Stop! Just as Lu Ming was about to enter the passageway, he was blocked by a few young men. What is the meaning of this? Lu Ming frowned slightly and asked. As far as he knew, the passage in front of the sky-connecting floating platform was unguarded. Only after entering the passage would there be people guarding and paying raw stones. The sky-reaching floating platform has been reserved by people from my Silver Dragon Valley and Blood Dragon Valley. You can come back after a while. One of the young men sneered. Reserved by Silver Dragon Valley and Blood Dragon Valley? The sky-reaching floating platform is the cultivation holy land of the Dragon God Valley. It is open to all disciples of the 7 valleys of the Dragon God Valley. I have never heard that it belongs to any of the Dragon Valleys. Move! Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, what are you doing? If I say it's all reserved, then it's all reserved. A young man blocked Lu Ming's way and said. You know me. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The few young men had cold expressions on their faces as they sneered. Buzz! Buzz! At this moment, 2 young men appeared. They were wearing long white robes with an ice dragon embroidered on it. They were the disciples of Ice Dragon Valley. The 2 Ice Dragon Valley disciples didn't have anyone to stop them. They directly entered the passage and disappeared. Lu Ming frowned and said, Didn't you say that the sky-reaching floating platform has been reserved by the Silver Dragon Valley and the Blood Dragon Valley? How can the people of Ice Dragon Valley enter? A few young men blocked Lu Ming's way. They had mocking smiles in their eyes but did not say a word. Lu Ming's gaze turned cold. The other party was probably deliberately making things difficult for him. Judging from their clothes, these people were obviously disciples of Silver Dragon Valley. He had killed Yin Feng in front of the master of Silver Dragon Valley, which made him an enemy of Silver Dragon Valley. However, he had never seen these people before, but they could recognize him at a glance. Lu Ming could not help but think of many things. Could it be that the master of Silver Dragon Valley was controlling the situation and had sent someone to guard the place so that Lu Ming could not enter the sky-connecting floating platform to cultivate? At the thought of this, a sharp glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. He then took a step forward. Boom! 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 The 3 Silver Dragon Valley young men burst out with a powerful aura. All of them were at the peak of the LV4 martial royal realm. Stop right there! One of the young men shouted coldly and 3 waves of pressure pressed down on Lu Ming. At this moment, a few more people came over. Seeing this situation, they couldn't help but stop to watch. That's Lu Ming. Those people are disciples of Silver Dragon Valley. This is going to be a good show. A few months ago, Lu Ming killed Yin Feng in front of the master of Silver Dragon Valley, which infuriated him. I heard that after the master returned to Silver Dragon Valley, he gathered all the young disciples of Silver Dragon Valley and sent out a message to ask them to take good care of Lu Ming when they meet him outside. The few people who were watching were discussing in low voices. Although their voices were soft, Lu Ming could still hear them clearly. Lu Ming's gaze turned colder. The master of Silver Dragon Valley was the master of a valley. His grandson had committed heinous crimes. Not only was he not disciplined, but he had also tried to slander Lu Ming and was killed by him. Now, he actually incited a disciple of Silver Dragon Valley to deal with Lu Ming behind his back. He was despicable, shameless, and extremely shameless. He was afraid of the master of Cloud Dragon Valley and didn't dare to make a move, but he let the younger generation of Silver Dragon Valley do it. Chapter 1494, 1494 Deliberately looking for trouble. Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning. A powerful aura emanated from his body and crushed the auras of the 3 Silver Dragon Valley youths. Get lost! Then, Lu Ming roared. With this roar, Lu Ming used the Divine Sword technique. An invisible wave surged towards the three of them and directly blasted into their spiritual gods. At this moment, the spiritual gods of the three of them trembled violently as if they had been hit by a hurricane. At the same time, in their eyes, Lu Ming seemed to have turned into a prehistoric giant beast, and a terrifying aura pressed down on them. Their bodies trembled violently, and with a loud cry, they actually fell to the ground, their bodies drenched in cold sweat. On the side, a few onlookers were somewhat dumbfounded. Lu Ming's roar made the three Silver Dragon Valley youths fall to the ground. It was unbelievable. Of course, they didn't know that it was because of the miraculous godly sword technique. The main purpose of the godly sword technique was to increase one's soul power and then use it to launch an attack. After this period of cultivation, Lu Ming had already cultivated the divine sword technique to an invisible state. With a loud shout, the divine sword technique was activated and it directly attacked the soul of the opponent. It was invisible and extremely mysterious. The three Silver Dragon Valley young men's spiritual gods were attacked by Lu Ming. Their spiritual gods trembled and they even had an illusion. They thought that they had seen a prehistoric giant beast. Their bodies and minds were shaken and they fell to the ground. After a long while, the three of them finally reacted. "Damn it, Lu Ming, what sorcery did you use just now? I'm going to cripple you." The young man in the middle shouted, his face flushed red. The other two young men were in a similar state. It was too embarrassing. They were so frightened by Lu Ming's roar that they sat on the ground. If this were to spread, they would definitely become a laughing stock and be laughed at. They blamed everything on Lu Ming. The three of them roared and charged at Lu Ming with a burst of vital essence. "Get lost!" Lu Ming roared again. This shout not only contained the divine sword technique's attack but also powerful vital essence. The vital essence formed a storm and blasted out. After reaching the martial royal realm, the higher the level of the spirit body, not only would the spirit body become stronger, but also the vital essence would become more robust and condensed. For a martial royal realm martial artist, the improvement of his cultivation was the joint improvement of his true essence and spirit body. Therefore, true essence and spirit body complemented each other. Otherwise, a spirit body with a high level wouldn't have such a strong combat power. The higher the level of the spirit body, the higher the level of the Zhen Yuan. With Lu Ming's current cultivation and medium-grade earth spiritual body, he could naturally crush his opponent with his essential core. As soon as the three Silver Dragon Valley young men pounced, they were hit by the godly sword technique. Their spiritual souls trembled violently and they felt a tearing pain. Then, they were hit by Lu Ming's vital essence. They wailed and spat out blood. Their bodies flew backward and fell heavily on the ground. The surrounding people gasped in shock. The three young men of the Silver Dragon Valley were sitting on the ground after the shout. Now, with a loud shout, the three of them were seriously injured and flew back while spitting blood. This was too shocking. Lu Ming cast a cold glance at the three of them and strode into the passage. The three Silver Dragon Valley young men struggled to get up after Lu Ming had left. Their eyes were filled with fear. Then, they walked into the passage. After walking through the passageway, there was a counter at the entrance, and it was guarded. This place was the real guardian. 200,000 mid-grade raw stones are required to get on the sky-connecting floating platform once. One of the people at the counter said. Lu Ming nodded and submitted 200,000 medium-grade raw stones. He then stepped in and looked ahead. A shocking scene was reflected in Lu Ming's eyes. This place was in the middle of a few snowy mountains, forming a huge kernel. The area was very wide. In front of him, there were stone platforms floating in the air. There were a total of 36 rows, and each row was slanted upward. Every 100 meters, there was a stone platform floating in the air. Just like that, there were 13 stone platforms that extended into the void. This was the sky-reaching floating platform. In short, it had a total of 36 rows, and each row had 13 stone platforms. Each of them was 100 meters apart and extended into the void. At this moment, there were already some figures sitting cross-legged on some of the stone platforms. Only one person could enter each row at a time. Lu Ming saw that some people were sitting cross-legged on the third stone platform, some were sitting cross-legged on the fourth stone platform, and some were on the fifth stone platform. On the stone platform, there were dense inscriptions that covered the person sitting cross-legged. Some people stood below and watched. It was said that the sky-reaching floating platform was created by the founder of the Dragon God Valley. It was very magical. When a person sat on it, his spirit would escape into the endless void. There was a battlefield opened by the Dragon God Valley's founder. In it, there were heavenly beasts formed by the laws of the heavenly path. When warriors fought with them, they could comprehend the heavenly path, domain, and even the laws. With every stone platform, the corresponding difficulty level would increase. Lu Ming walked forward casually. A few young men were watching. At that moment, they all looked at Lu Ming, their eyes gleaming. At this moment, the 3 Silver Dragon Valley youths who were injured by Lu Ming's shout walked in and whispered something to the other youths. The other youths' eyes gleamed even more. This Lu Ming is getting more and more arrogant with the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's support. I'll go and meet him. A Silver Bubble youth said coldly. He then strode toward Lu Ming. You are Lu Ming. The Silver Bubble youth said coldly. That's right. What's the matter? Lu Ming replied casually. You should come to the sky-connecting floating platform to cultivate as well. However, judging from your cultivation, you're only at LV3 Martial Royal Realm. I'm afraid you won't be able to break through many stone platforms. What a waste of the raw gemstones. The silver-robed youth said, his tone carrying a hint of ridicule. You don't have to worry about how many stone platforms I can set foot on and whether I'll waste the raw gemstones. Besides, you're only at the LV5 Martial Emperor realm. You might not be able to set foot on more stone platforms than me. Lu Ming said indifferently. Not as much as you. Ridiculous. Lu Ming, I think you're too arrogant. You're just a little talented, but you don't know how high the sky is. There are countless geniuses in this world. There are many more in Dragon God Valley who are more talented than you. The silver-robed youth sneered. Oh, so you're saying that your talent is very strong? I wonder if you dare to bet with me with your LV5 Martial Royal Realm cultivation. Lu Ming said. Bet? How do we bet? The silver-robed youth's eyes flashed. Let's bet on which of us can reach the higher stone platform. Lu Ming said. You want to bet on this with me? Fine, I'll agree to it. What's the bet? The silver-robed youth immediately agreed without any hesitation. There were a total of 13 stone platforms that extended into the sky. Each of them corresponded to a level 1 territory. The first stone platform was equivalent to a level 1 territory, the second stone platform was equivalent to a level 2 territory, and so on. Lu Ming was only at the 3rd level of the Martial Royal Realm and had a 3rd level territory. No matter how strong his territory was, it was already not bad that he could step onto the 4th stone platform. He, on the other hand, was a LV5 Martial Royal Realm expert, but his territory had reached level 6. He could step onto the 6th stone platform to cultivate. Lu Ming could only defeat him if he could step onto the 7th stone platform. However, it was impossible for someone with a 3rd level domain to step onto the 7th stone platform. Therefore, he was sure to win. How could he not agree? Chapter 1495, 1495 The Heavenly Way Mutant Beast. From his point of view, Lu Ming must have never been to the sky-connecting floating platform before and did not know the mystery of it. That was why he made the bet with him. How about 500,000 sect contribution points? Lu Ming said. 500,000 sect contribution points. The silver-robed young man's heart trembled. Then, his eyes burst into flames and revealed a greedy look. All right, I agree. Junior brothers, senior brothers, please be our witnesses. The silver-robed youth called out. The silver-robed young man shouted, and the young men who were watching from below the stone platform looked over. Some of them walked over. The few people who were with the silver-robed youth also walked over. What witness? Someone asked. Everyone, this person is called Lu Ming. The silver-robed young man pointed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming. So it's him. He is Lu Ming. Some people blurted out. Lu Ming was very famous now. At the entrance of Cloud Dragon Valley, he had killed Yin Feng in front of the Master of Silver Dragon Valley and injured him. Later on, the Master of Cloud Dragon Valley had even killed several deacons of the Hall of Missions. This had shocked the entire Dragon God Valley. All of this was because of Lu Ming. Lu Ming's name became well known to many people. At that moment, they all looked at Lu Ming curiously. Junior brother Lu Ming, you want to make a bet with me. You want to bet on who will get to the higher stone platform. The bet is 500,000 contribution points. Is that right, junior brother Lu Ming? The silver-robed youth asked. What? The others were shocked by his words. They looked at Lu Ming in disbelief. Lu Ming actually wanted to make a bet with the silver-robed young man, and the bet was 500,000 contribution points. With Lu Ming's cultivation base, he would definitely lose in a bet with the silver-robed young man. The stone-stepping platform did not judge one's combat strength, but one's territory. The higher the level of the domain, the more powerful it was, and the higher the platform could be. Did Lu Ming have so many contribution points that he had nowhere to use them? The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled up slightly. The silver-robed young man was afraid that Lu Ming would go back on his word, so he had gathered these people to bear witness. However, this was exactly what Lu Ming wanted. Yes, that's true. Lu Ming nodded. All right, Lu Ming has agreed. We can be witnesses. A young man who was with the silver-robed young man was the first to shout. The others also nodded, indicating that they could bear witness. Junior brother Lu Ming, let's start. The silver-robed youth said, somewhat impatient, afraid that a long night would bring more trouble. All right. Lu Ming smiled. The two of them chose two stone platforms that were close to each other. These stone platforms kept going up, and there was no one else. Bang! Bang! The two of them jumped onto the first stone platform almost at the same time. Then, they sat down cross-legged at the same time. The stone platform glowed and dense inscriptions appeared, covering the two of them. The first function of this inscription was to allow one's mind to escape into the unfathomable void. The second function was to prevent others from attacking. It had a defensive function. Although there was a rule in Dragon God Valley that no one was allowed to attack others on the floating platform, or they would be severely punished, there might be people who would take the risk. Therefore, this inscription played a very good defensive role. When the runes covered Lu Ming's entire body, he felt that his spirit, or rather, his soul, had been drawn out of his body. The space around him flitted past like a fleeting shadow. In the next moment, Lu Ming realized that he had arrived at a land of chaos. The surroundings were vast and boundless. However, Lu Ming realized that the aura of the great Tao here was extremely rich. If he cultivated here, the effects would be at least 10 times better. Is this the battlefield of the heavenly law created by the ancestors of Dragon God Valley? Lu Ming pondered in his heart. Roar! Suddenly, there was a loud roar. In front of them, a strange beast appeared. This strange beast was filled with the aura of the great Tao. Heavenly Way Mutant Beast. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Roar! 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 Following that, loud roars were heard one after another as Heavenly Path mutant beasts formed one after another. These Heavenly Tao beasts came in different forms. Some were in the form of a tiger, some were in the form of a wolf, and some were in the form of a snake. All of them had a golden mark on their foreheads. Heavenly Tao imprint. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with a bright light. In the Heaven Path battlefield, as long as this kind of strange beast was killed, the mark of Heaven Path between its eyebrows would be absorbed by the warrior. He could directly comprehend the Heaven Path and comprehend the domain. It was extremely wonderful. With a series of loud roars, at least 5 or 6 beasts of the heavenly law pounced at Lu Ming. Condense. The chaos domain spread out and began to shrink. Finally, it turned into a long spear that Lu Ming held in his hand. In the heavenly law battlefield, all weapons and vital essence couldn't be used because one's mind was in it. The only thing that could be used was the territory. Whoosh! He thrust his spear forward, and a beam of spear light streaked across the vast space, killing a heavenly path mutant beast. Then, the spear swept across, and 5 or 6 beasts of heavenly law were defeated at the same time. The Heavenly Way mutant beasts were defeated and dissipated into Heavenly Way energy. However, the Heavenly Way mark between their brows emitted a golden glow and flew into Lu Ming's body before disappearing. Roar! 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 Their roars were like thunder. More Heavenly Path mutant beasts appeared and charged at Lu Ming. Lu Ming held the spear condensed by the Chaos Domain and charged forward. With a shake of the spear, more than 10 spear shadows streaked across the sky, killing more than 10 beasts of the Heavenly Way. This was the first floating platform. The Heavenly Way exotic beast that appeared had the power of a first-level territory. To Lu Ming, it was not difficult at all. Very soon, Lu Ming had killed a total of 108 beasts of the Heavenly Way, but no more beasts appeared. At this moment, Lu Ming felt his body tighten. The next moment, he realized that he had returned to his physical body on the sky-connecting floating platform. Yes, the Heavenly Tao imprint. Lu Ming sensed and realized that there were 108 golden Heavenly Tao marks in his mind. Amazing, this is really amazing. Lu Ming sighed with emotion. Then, he closed his eyes and refined these Heavenly Path imprints. His body began to emit a faint golden radiance. On the floating platform next to Lu Ming, the silver-robed young man opened his eyes and glanced at Lu Ming. He sneered and began to refine the Heavenly Tao mark. 10 minutes later, the silver-robed young man stood up, and the runes covering his body automatically retreated and disappeared. The silver-robed young man cast a disdainful look at Lu Ming, who was still refining. He took a step forward and crossed 100 meters. He appeared on the second floating platform and sat cross-legged. At the same time, dense runes appeared on the second floating platform and enveloped his body. Lu Ming continued to stay on the first floating platform. Half an hour later, Lu Ming felt that the Heavenly Tao mark that he had just obtained had been completely refined. The Chaos Domain has indeed strengthened by a notch. It's comparable to 7 days of bitter cultivation. A smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. He was shocked by the effect of the sky-high floating platform. All the time he had just spent did not even add up to an hour, but the effect was comparable to a normal 7 days of bitter cultivation. Such an effect was indeed shocking. Chapter 1496, 1496 Chapter 1496 Going up, then, let's continue. Lu Ming stood up and the runes on his body disappeared automatically. This Lu Ming is going to lose for sure. He took such a long time to get to the first floating platform and he still dares to bet with the senior brother from the Silver Blizzard City. He's basically giving away his contribution points to the senior brother. 500,000 contribution points. I'm so envious. The senior brother of the Silver Blizzard City has just earned a huge sum of money. Below, some people looked at Lu Ming and sneered. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He could not be bothered. He had made a bet with the silver-robed young man on who would be able to reach the higher floating platform, not on who would take the shorter time. It was his first time here, and he had spent a lot of time refining the Heavenly Tao marks. Then, Lu Ming took a step forward and stepped onto the second floating platform. He then sat down cross-legged and the second floating platform glowed. The inscriptions enveloped Lu Ming again and he was back in the vast land of chaos in the next moment. Roar! Roar! Just like the last time, beasts of the heavenly path began to form, but this time, they all had 2 golden marks of the heavenly path between their brows. The 2 golden marks indicated that the heavenly path mutant beast here had the power of a second-grade domain. The heavenly path mutant beasts roared and pounced at Lu Ming. The chaos realm condensed a long spear once again. Lu Ming held the long spear and rushed forward. Whoosh! 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 The spear radiance swept across and killed the beasts one after another. Not long after, all 108 mutated beasts were killed by Lu Ming. He reappeared on the sky-connecting floating platform. With a glance, he saw that the silver-robed youth was already on the 3rd floating platform. Lu Ming ignored him and closed his eyes to refine the heavenly Tao mark. The 2nd floating platform had double the number of heavenly Tao marks compared to the 1st floating platform. An hour later, after Lu Ming had refined all the heavenly Tao marks, he felt that the chaos realm had improved again. Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared on the 3rd floating platform. On the 3rd floating platform, after entering the vast land of chaos, the heavenly way strange beasts that appeared had 3 golden marks between their brows. They were equivalent to 3rd-level territory and were on par with Lu Ming's territory. However, Lu Ming's territory was the chaos territory. It was the king of thousands of territories. There were very few in the world that could be compared with the chaos territory. Although they were at the same level, he would definitely crush them. Not long after, the 108 beasts of the heavenly path were killed. Lu Ming began to refine the mark of the heavenly path. Below, some people continued to discuss. This Lu Ming is quite talented. He can fight above his level. I estimate that he can make it to the 4th floating platform, but it's definitely his limit. Not bad. The 3rd floating platform has 108 beasts of the heavenly way that are equivalent to 4th-level domain beasts. Lu Ming would be considered pretty good if he could kill 10 of them. Brother Blizzard's Silver City's domain has already broken through to the 6th level. Last time, he killed 50 heavenly path beasts on the 6th platform. There's no suspense in this bet. A few of the young men from the Silver Blizzard City said. Look! The Silver Blizzard City's senior brother is about to step onto the 5th floating platform. Someone shouted. As expected, Blizzard's Silver City stood up and took a step forward, appearing on the 5th floating platform. He turned to look at Lu Ming, who was still on the 3rd floating platform, and a cold smile appeared on his face. Then, he sat down cross-legged. This time, it took a full 2 hours before Lu Ming refined the heavenly Tao mark. He felt that the chaos domain was approaching the peak of the 3rd-level domain. Lu Ming stood up and took a step forward. He stepped onto the 4th floating platform and sat cross-legged. This kid is on the 4th floating platform. Just watch. In less than half a minute, he'll be blasted off the floating platform. One of the Blizzard Silver City's friends said in disdain. Very quickly, half a minute had passed. Lu Ming's figure was as steady as a rock. Even if you hold on a little longer, you'll just be struggling on your last breath. In 3 minutes at most, you'll be blasted down. The young man who had spoken earlier blushed and said awkwardly. Very quickly, 3 minutes had passed. Lu Ming's figure was still as steady as a rock. He definitely won't last 10 minutes. The young man said through gritted teeth. 10 minutes later, Lu Ming's body glowed with a golden light. It was obvious that he had killed all the beasts of the heavenly path and was beginning to refine the heavenly path mark. So fast. He killed all the exotic beasts on the 4th floating platform in 10 minutes. It's really fast. It took 15 minutes in the Silver City. Who was the one who kept saying that Lu Ming would be blasted down just now? The other young men were discussing among themselves. They were extremely surprised, and some of them even looked at the young man who had spoken earlier. The young man's face turned into the color of a pig's liver, and he almost vomited blood. I was just lucky enough to pass the 4th floating platform. I definitely can't pass the 5th. The young man said through gritted teeth. Everyone watched as time slowly passed. After a while, Silver City on the 5th platform suddenly stood up. That brat should have been blasted down. A sneer appeared on Blizzard Silver's face as he looked behind him. With one look, his expression changed. You actually passed the 4th floating platform. Consider yourself lucky. However, the 5th floating platform is your limit. Blizzard Silver snorted and stepped onto the 6th floating platform. He entered the battlefield of the Heavenly Law and fought with the Beast of the Heavenly Law. Below the sky-connecting floating platform, the crowd watched quietly. After about 20 minutes, Blizzard Silver, who was sitting cross-legged on the 6th floating platform, suddenly trembled. With a flash of inscription light, Blizzard Silver's body flew out of the floating platform and landed at the bottom. Senior Blizzard Silver City, how many level 6 Heavenly Path mutant beasts did you kill this time? The young man who had been saying that Lu Ming was going to be blasted down quickly asked. 68. Blizzard Silver City said. 68, 18 more than last time. Congratulations, senior brother, it won't be long before you can pass the 6th floating platform. The young man quickly flattered. N. Blizzard Silver City smiled faintly and revealed a look of satisfaction. He then looked at Lu Ming who was on the 4th floating platform. However, at this moment, Lu Ming stood up and stepped onto the 5th floating platform. He sat cross-legged and immediately started to engrave inscriptions. 3rd rank territory. To be able to step onto the 5th floating platform is his limit. Blizzard Silver City said coldly. That's right. He won't be able to kill 10 level 5 beasts of the Heavenly Path before he's blasted down. The young man from before said. However, time passed. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes had passed. Lu Ming was still sitting cross-legged on the floating platform. The young man had completely shut up. Blizzard Silver City's face had also turned cold. Lu Ming was engaged in a great battle on the Heaven Dao battlefield. On the 5th platform of the Heavenly Path battlefield, the Heavenly Path strange beast that had been condensed was equivalent to a level 5 domain. The Heavenly Way mutant beast with a level 5 domain was extremely powerful. It pounced everywhere with shocking power. However, the Chaos domain could still suppress these exotic beasts. Back in the Tianyu demonic sect, Lu Ming had used his level 2 Chaos realm to fight against Jin Ye's level 5 demonic feather realm. He had defeated Jin Ye's realm in one fell swoop, which showed the power of the Chaos realm. Chapter 1497, 1497 Chapter 1497 Cunning Silver City Whoosh. With a flash of the spear, a level 5 Heavenly Path mutant beast was killed. Then, with another sweep, a level 5 alien beast was sent flying and hit several other alien beasts. The spear's radiance swept across and the mutated beasts were defeated by Lu Ming one after another. After an unknown period of time, when the last strange beast was killed, Lu Ming's consciousness returned to the 5th floating platform. He opened his eyes and casually glanced at the silver blizzard city that had already appeared under the floating platform. The corners of his mouth curled into a faint smile. Then, he began to refine the Heavenly Dao imprint. A few hours later, the Heavenly Dao mark was refined. Lu Ming stood up and stepped onto the 6th floating platform. Below the floating platform, Blizzard Silver City's face was extremely gloomy. Even if Lu Ming is lucky enough to step onto the 6th floating platform, what can he do? The senior from the Blizzard Silver City killed 68 beasts. Lu Ming definitely can't kill 68 of them. It was the young man again, who gritted his teeth and said. Blizzard Silver City's face was cold and he did not say a word. He only stared at Lu Ming, who was sitting cross-legged on the 6th floating platform. He could not wait for Lu Ming to be blown off the floating platform. Unfortunately, he was disappointed. Lu Ming's figure did not move. On the sixth floating platform in the Heaven Path battlefield, Lu Ming was fighting with all his might. The beasts of the heavenly path here were even more powerful. Each of them was equivalent to a level 6 domain expert, while Lu Ming was only level 3. There was a difference of 3 whole levels. Moreover, there were 108 mutated beasts surrounding Lu Ming. The pressure on him was really increasing. Bang! The long spear swept across and landed on a mutated beast. The beast was only sent flying, but it was not seriously injured. It roared, got up, and charged at Lu Ming. Whoosh! Lu Ming's Chaos Domain spear stabbed into a heavenly way strange beast. It was stuck halfway through. A level 6 alien beast is indeed very strong. Lu Ming's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. Then, Lu Ming took a step forward and charged at the beast like a bolt of lightning. His leg wrapped in the Chaos Domain stomped heavily on the beast's head. Lu Ming stomped the beast down and thrust the spear down, piercing through the beast's body. The spear trembled and the beast collapsed. The first level 6 alien beast was killed. Roar! 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 Their roars were like thunder, and more mutated beasts pounced at Lu Ming. The Chaos Realm's spear swept through the army and sent a group of exotic beasts flying. Then, it stared at one of the exotic beasts and killed it with the same method as before. This way of killing is too slow. Even though I should be able to clear the 6th floating platform eventually, it will take a long time. Lu Ming frowned. He was thinking of ways to strengthen the power of the Chaos Realm. Weapons couldn't be brought in here, and there was no true yuan. Many battle techniques couldn't be used here, so one could only use the power of territory. Wait, 13 charged strikes. Suddenly, Lu Ming had an idea. Although the 13 storing power strikes was a domain martial technique, the domain of spear, it was more about the technique of exerting force. The spear technique and the spear domain technique could release 2, 5, or even 10 bursts of power at the same time, greatly increasing the power. Then, could he use this technique in the Chaos Domain? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He did as he thought. Buzz! Lu Ming's spear shook and hit a beast of the heavenly path, sending it flying. Wrong, wrong. Lu Ming muttered. The attack just now did not have much explosive power. The primal Chaos Domain is different from the spear domain after all. However, the primal Chaos Domain contains the spear domain. It'll definitely work. Let's try again. Lu Ming kept pondering in his heart. The long spear in his hand did not stop and he kept blasting out. Buzz! Buzz! And NBSP whoosh. The Chaos Domain's spear continued to bombard the beasts, sending them flying. Lu Ming was constantly experimenting. Time passed quickly. Soon, 2 hours had gone by, but Lu Ming was still fighting the heavenly way strange beast. Below the floating platform, a group of people were waiting, incomparably astonished. What's going on? Lu Ming is on the 6th floating platform, and there's no golden light on his body. He should still be fighting the strange beasts on the heavenly Dao battlefield. Why is it still not over after more than 2 hours? That's right, what's going on? If he had failed, he would have been blasted down. It's very likely that he's struggling to hold on. He bet 500,000 contribution points with the Silver Blizzard Silver City and doesn't want to lose, so he's gritting his teeth and holding on, trying to kill more Ultra Beasts. It should be like this. Many people were guessing. Blizzard Silver City's fists were tightly clenched. They were nervous. This was related to his 500,000 contribution points. On the Heavenly Dao battlefield, Lu Ming was still fighting with the exotic beasts. Buzz! The long spear shook and struck a beast. A violent force exploded. Bang! The strange beast suddenly exploded and disappeared. I've succeeded. Lu Ming's eyes brightened. The shot just now was a success. In an instant, 4 levels of power exploded with a shocking power and defeated the beast of the heavenly way in one fell swoop. Whoosh! The spear pierced out, and the fourfold force passed through the tip of the spear and stabbed into the body of the beast. The beast was immediately pierced through and killed. Fourfold strength, that's enough. A smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. He swept his long spear horizontally and horizontally. As long as the exotic beast was swept, smashed, or stabbed, it would be killed in one blow. In just a few minutes, the 108 mutated beasts were all killed by Lu Ming. On the 6th floating platform, Lu Ming's body suddenly emitted a golden radiance. Lu Ming had passed the 6th floating platform. Damn it! Blizzard's Silver City clenched his fists tightly, his eyes extremely gloomy. How did this happen? The other members of the Silver Blizzard City also let out a roar of disbelief. Lu Ming was only a 3rd-level territory master, but he could pass the 6th floating platform. This was unbelievable. There had never been such a case in the history of Dragon God Valley. Senior Brother Blizzard Silver City, what should we do? Do I really have to give Lu Ming 500,000 contribution points? A young man asked the Silver Blizzard City. 500,000 contribution points. He's dreaming. Blizzard Silver muttered through gritted teeth. 500,000 contribution points were equivalent to the price of half a holy weapon. Now, he only had slightly more than 500,000 contribution points in total. How could he give them to Lu Ming? But, a young man hesitated. Junior brothers, did Lu Ming injure you earlier? Then he'll have to trouble you again. Blizzard Silver City looked at the 3 young men who were injured by Lu Ming's shout and said coldly. After saying that, 3 forces silently hit the bodies of the 3 young men. The 3 young men groaned and blood flowed from the corners of their mouths. I've injured your internal organs, so you must maintain this injury, understand? Blizzard Silver City ordered. Yes, yes. The 3 young men quickly nodded. Although they were angry, they did not dare to disobey. Do you think it's that easy to get my contribution points? Blizzard Silver City looked at Lu Ming on the floating platform and sneered. Chapter 1498 Chapter 1498 Making bogus accusations on the 6th floating platform, Lu Ming continued to refine the mark of the heavenly path. When the mark of the heavenly path was completely refined, Lu Ming opened his eyes and a smile appeared on his face. Peak rank 3. Lu Ming muttered. His chaos domain had finally reached the peak of level 3. The 200,000 raw stones were worth it. However, it was not that easy to break through to level 4. A 4th level territory was equivalent to a middle stage martial emperor's territory. There was a barrier that was not easy to cross. Lu Ming got up and looked at the 7th floating platform. He then turned back and looked at the Silver City. Then, Lu Ming did not continue to move upwards. Instead, he took a step forward and landed under the floating platform. Floating platform. He could continue to climb the platform as long as he paid the raw stones. He had to get the 500,000 contribution points from the Silver City first. I've passed the 6th floating platform while you failed. I've won the bet this time. Hand over 500,000 contribution points. Lu Ming looked at the Silver Blizzard City. 500,000 contribution points. What 500,000 contribution points? Blizzard Silver City feigned ignorance as a cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Lu Ming frowned. The Silver Blizzard City was playing dumb. They were obviously trying to renege on their debt. You want to play dumb and not pay up? There are many people here who can be witnesses. Lu Ming said. Witness? Why didn't I hear that? I didn't hear it either. A few of the Silver Blizzard City's companions coldly spoke. Did you guys hear that? Blizzard Silver's cold eyes looked at the others. Many people's faces changed, revealing a look of fear. Yin Cheng was a cousin of Yin Feng. His grandfather was the younger brother of the master of Silver Dragon Valley. He had a strong background in Silver Dragon Valley, and many people didn't dare to offend him. Although some people disdained the Silver Blizzard City's conduct, they all looked away and didn't speak. Hee hee. Lu Ming sneered, a sharp glint in his eyes. I can be a witness, just now. Just now, the two of you did indeed have a bet. The bet is 500,000 contribution points. At this moment, a timid voice sounded. Buzz. His words made Blizzard Silver City and his companions look towards the source of the voice. Lu Ming also looked over. It was a young woman. She was petite, but her skin was fair. She had a delicate appearance and was extremely cute. At this moment, when the Silver Blizzard City's gaze swept over him, his face paled, his body trembled, and he couldn't help but retreat. Little girl, what did you say? Blizzard Silver City coldly spoke. I don't want to lie, you two did have a bet. Although the young woman was very scared, she still spoke. Good, very good. Blizzard Silver's eyes became even sharper, and even murderous intent filled them. What's wrong? You want to kill people when they tell the truth. This is the style of the Silver Dragon Valley, just like Yin Feng. It seems that I have to report it to the Dragon Punishment Palace. Lu Ming sneered. He took a step forward and stood in front of the young woman. Also, hand over the 500,000 contribution points. Lu Ming continued. Hee hee, Lu Ming, you're really naive. I was just making a casual remark about the bet previously and you took it seriously. We didn't sign any written agreement. Blizzard Silver City quibbled. It turns out that people in Silver Dragon Valley are all like this. From top to bottom, they're all villains. They're such a disgrace to the Dragon God Valley. In my opinion, Silver Dragon Valley is purely a cancer of the Dragon God Valley. It must be removed sooner or later. Lu Ming shook his head and sneered. How dare you? Who do you think you are? How dare you comment on the affairs of Silver Dragon Valley? A young man shouted from the edge of the Silver City. Lu Ming, you're the one who's lawless and lawless. You hurt your fellow disciples. Previously, you injured 3 of my junior brothers for no reason. I'm going to settle this with you. Blizzard Silver City shouted, pointing at the 3 young men beside him. The 3 young men were pale and weak. The cold light in Lu Ming's eyes intensified. His loud shout had injured the 3 of them, but it was only a light injury. With the strength of their spirit bodies, those minor injuries had already healed. But now, he looked like he was seriously injured. It was clearly intentional. Lu Ming, you severely injured a disciple of the Silver Dragon Valley for no reason. Now, hand over 500,000 contribution points as the medical fee. Blizzard Silver City shouted, his aura overbearing. Who's there? How dare you hurt the disciples of Silver Dragon Valley? At this moment, a cold voice sounded from a floating platform. A figure floated down. It was a cold-looking young man. Senior brother Ding Mao. Seeing this young man, Blizzard Silver City and the others were overjoyed and quickly packed their bags. Senior brother Ding Mao, it's Lu Ming. He injured 3 of my disciples for no reason. I'm going to ask him for compensation. Blizzard Silver City said. Lu Ming. Ding Mao's eyes glinted coldly at the mention of Lu Ming's name. Just because he's the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's direct disciple, can he really be lawless? Let him pay for the treatment, and then take him to the Dragon Punishment Hall. Yes. Blizzard Silver City responded, his courage growing. He stared at Lu Ming and said, Lu Ming, hurry up. Hand over 500,000 contribution points and follow us to the Dragon Punishment Hall. At the side, some people sighed. The Silver Dragon Valley had gone too far. Initially, the Silver Blizzard City had made a bet with Lu Ming, betting 500,000 contribution points. In the end, Lu Ming had won. Not only did the Silver Blizzard City not pay up, but they had also accused Lu Ming of being guilty. They wanted Lu Ming to hand over 500,000 contribution points and take him to the Dragon Punishment Hall. How despicable. However, they could only think about it in their hearts. So what if he was despicable? Who asked the Silver Blizzard City to be so strong? What would Lu Ming do? To hand it over or not? Many people looked at Lu Ming, guessing what his choice would be. Hee. Lu Ming's expression remained calm, but the glint in his eyes was sharper. If you don't hand over 500,000 contribution points today, don't you ever leave this place. Lu Ming said coldly. Many people were shocked. How arrogant. Lu Ming had completely ignored the Silver Blizzard City's earlier nonsense. He just wanted the Silver Blizzard City to hand over 500,000 contribution points. Ding Mao's body glowed with a cold light. This person is stubborn. You guys take him down first. Boom. 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 Blizzard Silver City and the others exploded with powerful auras. Lu Ming, how dare you? Kneel down. Blizzard Silver City shouted. He unleashed all his cultivation and threw a palm at Lu Ming. Blizzard Silver City's cultivation had reached the peak of the 5th level Martial Royal Realm, and his territory had reached the 6th level. His combat strength was extremely shocking. The other two young men were at the LV5 Martial Royal Realm and had strong combat strength. You're the one kneeling. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. Two rays of black light pierced through Blizzard Silver City's body like divine swords, bombarding his soul. After this period of cultivation, Lu Ming's divine sword technique was already very amazing. Ah! Blizzard Silver City let out a shrill scream. He felt that his soul was almost cut in half. The pain of his soul being torn apart made him lose his will to fight. The palm print collapsed on its own halfway. Chapter 1499. 1499 7th Senior Brother Boom. Lu Ming smacked his palm. The Chaos Domain formed a huge palm print that pressed down on Blizzard Silver City. Blizzard Silver City knelt down in front of Lu Ming. Earlier, he wanted Lu Ming to kneel down. But now, he knelt down himself. Following that, Lu Ming threw 2 consecutive punches. The terrifying force of the punches sent the other 2 youths flying and they spat out large mouthfuls of blood. In an instant, 2 of the Silver Dragon Valley's 5th level Martial Royal Realm youths were sent flying, and the last one knelt in front of Lu Ming. He was completely vulnerable. At the side, the others revealed shocked expressions. Lu Ming had become stronger. He was even stronger than when he killed Yin Feng. It was shocking. Was this still a person from a desolate island? It was unbelievably strong. They finally knew why the Cloud Dragon Valley Master had accepted Lu Ming as his disciple. It was because the Cloud Dragon Valley Master had a discerning eye and recognized Lu Ming's talent. Buzz! Ding Mao's body was exuding a terrifying aura, and the pressure was pressing down on Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming felt as if there was a huge mountain pressing down on him. 7th level Martial Emperor Realm. Lu Ming was slightly shocked. Ding Mao was a LV7 Martial Royal Realm expert, an advanced Martial Royal Realm expert. Lu Ming, how dare you? You injured 3 disciples of the Silver Dragon Valley and now you're attacking us. You must be punished for your behavior. I'll cripple your cultivation and hand you over to the Dragon Punishment Hall. Ding Mao said coldly. He took a step forward, and a dragon's roar came from his body. Buzz! Then, Ding Mao clawed at Lu Ming. As he reached out, Ding Mao's palm and arm glowed with a bright silver light, and a layer of silver dragon scales appeared. 13 charged attacks. An Emperor's spiritual weapon spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand. The spear shook and turned into a spear ray that pierced through the air. Ding! Ding! Lu Ming could feel a surge of energy rushing towards his spear, bending it slightly as it struck Ding Mao's palm. 10 bursts of power erupted from the spear, forming an incredibly sharp qi that was about to pierce through Ding Mao's palm. Ding Mao's face changed, and he roared as a terrifying power exploded forth. Bang! Lu Ming's body was sent flying by the force and he crashed heavily into the wall of a snow mountain at the edge, causing the snow mountain to explode with a loud rumble. But at the same time, Ding Mao took a step back. 7th level Martial Royal Realm. As expected of a high-level Martial Royal Realm expert. Such powerful strength. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He felt the qi and blood in his body churning and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This kid, Ding Mao's body was filled with killing intent. His palm trembled slightly. The dragon scales on his palm were shattered, revealing a trace of blood. His palm was almost pierced by Lu Ming's long spear. Kill! Roar! A dragon's roar was heard, and the silver light on Ding Mao's body grew brighter. It was as if a silver dragon was pouncing toward Lu Ming. But right at this moment, a huge iron hammer flew over from the entrance, and with a loud boom, it flew towards Ding Mao. Ding Mao's face fell, and he threw Lu Ming aside as he raised his hands to meet the hammer. Thump! Thump! Ding Mao's palms landed on the iron hammer, and the sound waves made many weaker cultivators retreat with pale faces. Buzz! The hammer was knocked away, but Ding Mao himself was also sent flying back 100 meters, his hands shaking. Bang! Bang! From the entrance, a burly figure rushed over, caught the iron hammer, and stepped forward. Every step he took caused the ground to rumble. The Silver Dragon Valley is so powerful. ALV-7 Martial Emperor Realm Expert dares to attack my junior brother, who is only at LV-3 Martial Emperor Realm. How embarrassing. The burly figure spoke, his voice like a great bell. The person was a young man with a burly figure. He was 2 heads taller than Lu Ming and his muscles were bulging like a wild dragon. He was holding a huge hammer in his hand. However, this hammer was extremely special. Its handle was longer than a person, and the head of the hammer was the size of a water tank. It looked extremely shocking. Tian Chui, it's you. Ding Mao looked at the young man coldly. Tian Chui, 7th senior brother. Lu Ming's heart stirred. In the past 10 years, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master had only accepted 3 true disciples. One was him, the other was Xuaningxin, and the last one was Tian Chui, Lu Ming's 7th senior brother. That's your grandpa Tian Chui. Tian Chui grinned, then looked at Lu Ming and said, You are my 9th junior brother, Lu Ming. It's indeed powerful. Thank you for your help, 7th senior brother. Lu Ming smiled. Ha, you're welcome. Let me beat up those sons of bitches from Silver Dragon Valley. Tian Chui's lips curled into a smile as he looked at Ding Mao with a ferocious expression. Come, is the 7th level Martial Emperor very impressive? Let Grandpa Tian Chui play with you. Tian Chui, if you interfere, he'll take you down as well. Mao said coldly. Let's see how you're going to deal with me. Tian Chui's face revealed a malevolent expression as the muscles on his entire body swelled up. He stomped heavily on the ground. Boom! Tian Chui's entire body was like a dragon as he charged towards Ding Mao with his giant hammer in hand. Boom! 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 The giant hammer seemed to smash through the void, bringing with it a terrifying storm. Its power was shocking. A silver light erupted from Ding Mao's body, and silver dragon scales appeared all over his body. A pair of silver gloves appeared on his hands. It was a pair of emperor-level gloves. Silver Dragon Battle Fist. Ding Mao shouted as he punched out with both fists. Thump! Ding Mao's fist collided with the hammer, and the sky shook. Tian Chui and Ding Mao's bodies trembled as they both retreated. With a furious roar, they once again clashed. Peak of the 5th level of the Martial Emperor Realm, 6th level domain. Senior brother Tian Chui, such powerful combat strength. Lu Ming watched from the side, secretly shocked by the combat strength of the Heavenly Hammer. He was at the peak of the 5th level of the Martial Emperor Realm and had a 6th level domain, but he was able to fight with Ding Mao, who was at the 7th level of the Martial Emperor Realm. His combat strength was shocking. It seems that none of my senior brothers and sisters are simple. Lu Ming revealed a smile. Kill, 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 kill. At this moment, Tian Chui roared, and the more he fought, the more excited he became. It was as if he had transformed into a dragon of slaughter, and the giant hammer that was as big as a water tank poured down on Ding Mao like a storm. Gradually, Ding Mao was actually at a disadvantage, and was being suppressed by Tian Chui. Tian Chui has become even stronger. The people of Cloud Dragon Valley are indeed all lunatics, indeed. It's too terrifying. There's also that Xuaningxin, and recently, Lu Ming and Cloud Dragon Valley. They're all lunatics. Their combat strength is too shocking. I heard that none of the 9 disciples of the Cloud Dragon Valley Master are simple. The other members of the Dragon Valley were all discussing. In the blink of an eye, Tian Chui and Ding Mao had exchanged over 100 moves. Chapter 1500, 1500 Chapter 1500 You have to hand it over even if you don't want to. Up until now, Tian Chui had already completely gained the upper hand. Boom! Ding Mao was sent flying by Tian Chui's hammer, and he slid on the ground for a few hundred meters, creating a long trench in the cold ground. Ding Mao's arms trembled violently, and blood trickled down the corner of his mouth. Ding Mao was injured, and he was no match for the Heavenly Hammer. A 7th-level Martial Emperor, a high-level Martial Emperor, was no match for a Martial Emperor at the peak of the Martial Emperor realm. Many people were deeply shocked and they looked at Tian Chui. Lu Ming, who was at the 3rd level of the Martial Royal Realm, could easily crush those at the 5th level. Now, Tian Chui, who was at the peak of the 5th level Martial Emperor realm, was suppressing a 7th level Martial Emperor. The disciples of the Sky Cloud Valley were terrifying. This is your combat strength? This is the battle strength of LV7 Martial Emperor realm. It's really rare and ordinary. People of Silver Dragon Valley are all arrogant, despotic, and supercilious, but they're all trash. Tian Chui lifted his giant hammer and waved it around. A loud whooshing sound rang out as his disdainful voice spread throughout the entire area. Ding Mao's face was unsightly, but he couldn't argue back. The truth was right in front of him, he was no match for Tian Chui. The other disciples of Silver Dragon Valley blushed, but no one dared to say anything. Lu Ming, I'll let you off this time. Let's go. Ding Mao glared at Lu Ming coldly before turning to leave the floating platform. The other disciples of the Silver Dragon Valley, including the Silver City, also wanted to leave. Wait a moment. Lu Ming shouted coldly. Ding Mao stopped and turned to Lu Ming. What else do you want? Don't think that I'm really afraid of you guys. I'm not looking for you, I'm looking for him. Lu Ming's gaze fell on Blizzard's Silver City. You owe me 500,000 contribution points. Pay up before you leave. Don't even think about it. The Silver Blizzard City roared. Just now, he was forced to kneel in front of Lu Ming in one move. This was a great humiliation, and he wanted to skin Lu Ming alive. Don't even think. You bet with me and lost 500,000 contribution points, and now you want to go back on your word? I've said it before, if you don't pay up today, don't even think about leaving. Lu Ming's voice was cold. I told you, I was just saying it casually. Blizzard Silver City said with a cold face. Ha ha ha, you're just saying. It turns out that the words of the people of Silver Dragon Valley are all nonsense. Fine, if you admit it, everyone in Silver Dragon Valley is bullshitting. Then I will pretend that this never happened. Lu Ming said. You Blizzard's Silver City was tongue-tied. How could he admit to this? This was not his personal matter, but the entire Silver Dragon Valley's. In Silver Dragon Valley, there were the Valley Master, Elders and some Heaven's Pride experts. How could he represent Silver Dragon Valley? If he really admitted it, he could forget about staying in Silver Dragon Valley in the future. Bet? Are there any witnesses? Ding Mao said coldly. Everyone here is a witness. Lu Ming's gaze swept across the scene. Oh. Was it? Who witnessed this? Ding Mao's eyes swept across the crowd with a threatening look. Since you're all witnesses, you'd better not lie and speak the truth. On the side, Tian Shui opened his mouth. His gaze was like that of a wild beast as it swept across the entire place. If I find out who's lying, this hammer of mine is too slippery, and I often can't hold it steadily. In the future, if such a big hammer suddenly falls off your head when you're out, don't blame me. As he spoke, Tian Shui's hand slipped, and the water tank-like hammer fell to the ground. Boom! The ground rumbled, and a deep pit was smashed into the ground, with cracks like a spider web. Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. The ground here was extremely hard, but Tian Shui's hammer was actually able to smash the ground to such an extent. It was truly terrifying. The weight of this hammer was too shocking. If it were to hit a person, it would definitely end up with broken bones and tendons. Those with weak cultivation would be smashed to death. They have a bet. A timid voice was heard. It was still the same timid young woman from before. Ding Mao's eyes turned cold. That's right. They made a bet on who would step onto the higher floating platform and who would be the winner. In the end, Lu Ming won. There is such a thing. At this moment, the others also spoke up. For one, they were afraid of Tian Shui. For two, the people of Silver Dragon Valley were too overbearing, which made them unhappy. The people from the Silver Blizzard City started to speak, and their expressions became extremely ugly. If you agree to a bet, you must accept your loss. Quickly hand over your contribution points. Otherwise, you can stand still and take a hit from my hammer. Tian Shui said with a grin. The Silver Blizzard City's entire body trembled. What a joke, taking a hit from the heavenly hammer, wasn't that courting death? Since you've lost, you should give me some contribution points. Ding Mao said coldly. Just now, he had suffered some injuries from the battle with Tian Shui and needed to go back to recuperate. Furthermore, those were the Blizzard Silver City's contribution points, not his. He wanted to leave this place as soon as possible to avoid losing face. Blizzard Silver City was on the verge of tears. Dante had already spoken. Today, he had to hand over the money, even if he didn't want to. Otherwise, he really wouldn't be able to leave this place. In the end, the Silver Blizzard City had no choice but to transfer 500,000 contribution points to Lu Ming's Identity Jade card. Lu Ming's Identity Jade card had an additional 500,000 contribution points. The Blizzard Silver City's heart was bleeding. He only had a total of 500,000 contribution points, and now he was left with only a fraction. Let's go. Ding Mao snorted and left with his men. Thank you for your help, 7th senior brother. Lu Ming cupped his fists at Tian Shui. Ha, we're fellow disciples, what's there to be polite about? Tian Shui laughed. The moment I came back, I heard about junior brother's deeds. In front of that old man Yin Zheng, you killed his precious grandson. It's really satisfying. You're a man. I originally wanted to find you for a drink, but you weren't here, so I came to the sky-connecting floating platform to cultivate. I didn't expect to meet you here, ha. Tian Shui laughed out loud, extremely forthright. Isn't drinking easy? I've just earned a lot of contribution points, so I can drink at any time. Lu Ming said with a smile. Tian Shui's personality was similar to Yan Quangtis, and Lu Ming had a good impression of him. Alright, I'll be waiting. Tian Chui said. At this moment, Lu Ming walked toward the timid woman and said, "Thank you for speaking out for justice just now, but I have yet to ask for your name." "I am Su Lei," the young woman said. Her voice was still a little timid, very Myanmar. After chatting for a while, Lu Ming found out that Su Lei was a disciple of the Purple Dragon Valley. "Junior brother, they just said that you won the bet against the Silver Blizzard City. Which platform did you step on?" Tian Chui curiously asked. "I just passed the 6th platform and I came down," Lu Ming said. "He passed the 6th platform. Can we continue?" Tian Chui curiously asked. "I should. I guess so," Lu Ming said. He had integrated the chaos domain with the 13 accumulated strikes, which greatly increased his power. It was quite easy for him to cross the 6th platform. Lu Ming estimated that he should be able to handle it on the 7th platform. A 3rd-level domain esper who can step onto the 7th floating platform. What a freak! Tian Chui widened his eyes and looked at Lu Ming with an exaggerated expression. Chapter 1501, 1501 Chapter 1501 Understanding Lu Ming touched his nose with a bitter smile. The other party was only at the 5th level of the martial emperor realm, yet he was able to suppress Ding Mao. Wasn't he also a freak? "Junior brother Lu Ming, why don't we have a competition and see who can step on more floating platforms and kill more beasts of the heavenly way?" Tian Chui's eyes were filled with an intense battle intent. "I've long heard that this senior brother Tian Chui is fond of battle and killing. It seems that it's true." Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He then nodded and said, "All right. Then come." Tian Chui was excited. Lu Ming nodded and went to the counter to pay another 200,000 medium-grade raw stones. Each time he stepped on the floating platform, he would need 200,000 mid-grade raw stones. It was indeed very expensive. However, the effect was also amazing. To Lu Ming, it was definitely worth it. Of course, it was not worth it for those who were at the lower level of domain realm to come here. They had only stepped onto 1 or 2 floating platforms before they were blasted off. The reward might not even be worth 200,000 raw gemstones. The people who came here to cultivate were usually at least at the 4th level in terms of their domains, or they were people who had reached a bottleneck in their domains. After Lu Ming handed in the raw gemstones, he and Tian Chui chose a row of floating platforms and stepped onto the first one. Just like before, the two of them sat cross-legged, surrounded by inscriptions. Lu Ming took his time to kill the beast of the heavenly way and comprehend the chaos realm. Tian Chui was the same. The speed of the two of them was almost the same. They passed through the first floating platform at almost the same time, stepping onto the second floating platform, then the third. One floating platform after another went up. After passing through the 6th floating platform, Lu Ming's chaos domain had reached the limit of level 3. He was only a step away from level 4. Next, he could start to break through to the 4th level domain realm. The 7th floating platform, 7th level domain, how strong would it be? Lu Ming muttered as he stood on the 6th floating platform. "Ha, junior brother, I'll go first." On the side, Tian Chui laughed out loud and took a step forward, stepping onto the 7th floating platform. Lu Ming smiled and stepped onto the 7th floating platform. He then sat cross-legged and covered himself with inscriptions. The next moment, Lu Ming appeared on the Heavenly Dao battlefield. Roar! A heavenly path mutant beast formed. It had 7 golden marks on its forehead, and a powerful aura gushed out. Buzz! In the next moment, the heavenly way strange beast rushed in front of Lu Ming. Boom! The long spear appeared and swept out, hitting the body of the beast. A 4-fold force exploded. Boom! The strange beast was sent flying and fell a few hundred meters away. However, it shook its head and stood up again, as if nothing had happened. So strong. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. A level 7 beast of the heavenly path was much stronger than a level 6 beast of the heavenly path. Even a fourfold burst of power could not kill it. Roar! Roar! At this moment, more heavenly path mutant beasts gathered and pounced toward Lu Ming. Buzz! The long spear trembled as Lu Ming charged into the group of mutated beasts. Bang! 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 The long spear swayed and formed shadows of the spear, continuously lashing at the beasts of heavenly law. The beasts of heavenly law were sent flying like sandbags, but they were fine. They shook their heads and stood up again, pouncing at Lu Ming. Whoosh! The spear turned into a rainbow light, and four forces burst forth, piercing through a heavenly path mutant beast. However, this heavenly way strange beast did not die immediately. It held on to Lu Ming tightly. The other beasts of the heavenly way attacked and Lu Ming had no choice but to retreat. However, he was still scratched by one of the beasts, and he felt a tearing pain. The long spear that was stabbed into the beast of the heavenly way transformed back into the chaos domain and dissipated. Then, it condensed in Lu Ming's hands. At the same time, 7 golden marks flew into Lu Ming's body. The strange beast that had been pierced through was finally dead. This won't do. If I kill one, I'll get injured. It'll be very sad for the 7th floating platform. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. With this kind of injury for injury method, he would be killed before he could kill all the exotic beasts. Once he was killed here, his spirit would return to his body, which was equivalent to failure. The power of the 13 storing power strikes is not enough. It is only equivalent to the power of the 2nd level. If it is equivalent to the 3rd or 4th level, it can burst out 6 or 8 times of attack power at once. Then it will not be a problem to cross this floating platform. Lu Ming had many thoughts. Lu Ming was not in a hurry to kill the beast. Instead, he used the beast's cultivation of the 13 charged strikes and slowly integrated the energy circulation technique of the 13 charged strikes into the chaos realm. One by one, the mutant beasts were sent flying before they stood up again. The long spear was like a dragon, and the sky was filled with spear shadows. More than 100 strange beasts pounced on him, but they could not break through Lu Ming's defense in a short time. After an unknown amount of time. Bang! One of the beasts was swept away by Lu Ming's spear, and half of its body exploded. It stood up and swayed a few times before falling down again. 7 golden marks flew into Lu Ming's body. The 3rd level, 6-fold power. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He had a breakthrough in the 13 accumulated power strikes and its power had increased greatly. He had originally cultivated the 13 storing power strikes to the 5th level, which allowed him to launch 10-fold attacks. Now, he was simply integrating it into the chaos domain, so the difficulty was much lower and the speed was much faster. The spear swept out, and instantly, 6 layers of attack power were superimposed together, and the power suddenly increased by 6 times. Bang! A strange beast was sent flying and exploded. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming's long spear was like a real dragon, constantly blasting out. As the beasts were killed, the dense golden marks flew towards Lu Ming and into his body. Not long after, when Lu Ming stabbed the last beast with his spear, his spirit returned to his physical body. Lu Ming opened his eyes and looked at Tian Chui. He realized that Tian Chui's body was emitting a golden glow. He was refining the golden mark. Tian Chui had passed the test earlier than Lu Ming. Lu Ming smiled. This was normal. After all, Tian Chui's territory had already reached level 6. Moreover, Tian Chui's territory was not to be underestimated. It was very powerful. It was normal for him to clear it before Lu Ming. At that moment, Lu Ming also began to refine the heavenly Tao mark that he had obtained previously. Half a day later, Lu Ming had refined all the heavenly Tao marks. I still haven't broken through. It seems that it's not easy to break through to the 4th level. Lu Ming shook his head. Looking towards Tian Chui, he saw Tian Chui looking right at him. Junior brother is really amazing. With a 3rd level domain, you were actually able to clear the 7th floating platform. I'm impressed. Tian Chui said with a grin. Senior brother is the amazing one. I still lost to senior brother Guan. Lu Ming also smiled. Ha ha ha, junior brother, you still want to attempt the 8th floating platform? If you want to challenge the 8th floating platform, then this senior brother here will directly admit defeat to you. Tian Chui laughed in a forthright manner. No. Lu Ming shook his head. The beast of the heavenly path on the 8th floating platform would definitely be much stronger than the one on the 7th. Although Lu Ming's, storing power 13 strikes, still had room for improvement, he estimated that even if he cultivated it to the 10th layer, he might not be able to pass the 8th floating platform. Chapter 1502, 1502 Chapter 1502 Azure Province's Treasure Sealing Assembly. After all, his Chaos Domain was only at level 3. Even if the attack power was too strong, the defense power was definitely not good. He would probably be killed if he was attacked once or twice. Lu Ming was not confident that he would not be attacked by the 108 exotic beasts. Unless his Chaos Domain broke through to the 4th level, he would not have the confidence to challenge the 8 floating platforms. Senior brother, I need some time to digest this. Please continue. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said. Ha, go. Tian Chui laughed. Lu Ming leaped off the floating platform and flew toward the snow mountain at the side. He had already challenged the heaven-connecting floating platform twice and absorbed and refined a large amount of heavenly Dao marks. These heavenly Dao marks were all refined in one go and he needed time to digest and polish them. Then, he would step onto the heaven-connecting floating platform and the effect would be much better. If he kept challenging the floating platform and absorbing the marks of Heaven Way, the effect would not be good and there might be problems. Therefore, many cave abodes were opened up on the snow mountains at the edge for the cultivators of Dragon God Valley to digest and polish. Therefore, Lu Ming entered an empty cave abode, closed the door, and sat cross-legged. His Chaos Domain spread out as he quietly comprehended. After a few days, Lu Ming walked out of the cave abode and stepped onto the sky-connecting floating platform again. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. After a month of hard work, he had finally made a breakthrough in his Chaos Domain. He had stepped into level 4 in one go, and his power had increased greatly. This made Lu Ming sigh. The difficulty of breaking through his Chaos Realm was indeed shocking. In a month, he had spent tens of millions of mid-grade raw stones, which was 100,000 contribution points in total, before he finally broke through the Chaos Realm. After the breakthrough, Lu Ming did not leave but continued to cultivate on the sky-connecting floating platform. The Chaos Realm had broken through to the 4th level and its power had increased greatly. Lu Ming had also perfectly integrated the 13 charged strikes into the Chaos Realm. Each move and form could burst out 10 times the attack power. He successfully passed through the 8th floating platform and his cultivation speed had increased a little. In the blink of an eye, another month had passed. Lu Ming's Chaos Domain was gradually approaching the peak of level 4. At this moment, Lu Ming had no choice but to leave. That was because the sky-connecting floating platform was about to close. The sky-connecting floating platforms required a huge amount of energy to operate. Moreover, they had to be shut down for maintenance every once in a while. Otherwise, the energy would run out and the sky-connecting floating platforms would have problems. The closing time was usually 2 to 3 months. In fact, every time the sky-connecting floating platform was open for 3 months, it would be closed for a few months. Junior brother, let's go back to the Sky Cloud Valley. Tian Chui walked to Lu Ming's side. For the past few months, Tian Chui had been cultivating on the sky-connecting floating platform. The aura on his body was getting stronger and stronger. The power of his domain was also getting more and more profound. Some time ago, he had even broken through to the 7th level in one go. Just like Lu Ming, he had also passed the 8th floating platform. Alright, I'll treat you to a drink when we get back. Lu Ming smiled. The two of them flew towards Cloud Dragon Valley together. They had just returned to Sky Cloud Valley when they met Xuanixin. I was just about to look for you. So you two are together. Did you find a place to drink? Damn it, you didn't even call me. Xuanixin gritted her teeth and stared at the two of them. No, little junior sister, we were just about to go for a drink. We came back to call you. Tian Chui quickly quibbled. Big Hammer, don't call me little junior sister. I'm not the youngest anymore. Lu Ming is the youngest. He's the little junior brother. Xuanixin glanced at Tian Chui and said. Lu Ming smiled bitterly and quickly changed the topic. Senior sister, you just said that you have something to tell us. What is it? I almost forgot. I'm looking for you to go to the Tsang Mountains. The Tsang Province's treasure fixing assembly will begin in less than 2 months. Right now, many of the younger generation are rushing to the Tsang Mountains. Xuanixin said. It's starting so soon, I almost forgot. Tian Chui scratched his head and gave a silly smile. Azure Region's Treasure Sealing Convention. Lu Ming's face was full of doubts. Little junior brother, you still don't know, right? Let senior sister tell you. Seeing the confusion on Lu Ming's face, Xuanixin's interest was piqued. She put on the air of a senior sister and explained to Lu Ming. The Azure Region's Treasure Sealing Assembly, as its name suggests, is to decide which sect will keep the 2 ancient treasures. Every 3 years, the 13 top sects of the Azure region will gather at the Azure Mountain and send their younger generation to participate in a series of competitions. The sect that wins in the end will continue to keep the 2 ancient treasures. 3 years later, the Treasure Sealing Assembly will be held again, and the decision will be made. Xuanixin explained. Lu Ming came to a realization. So that was what happened. Once every 3 years, whoever was more powerful would be able to keep the 2 ancient treasures for 3 years. I wonder what kind of treasure it is that can make 13 top sects so interested in it. Lu Ming asked. I heard that one of them is a fragment of the prison guarding steel, Xuanixin said. The fragment of the prison suppressing steel. Lu Ming was shocked. Lu Ming had never expected that one of the treasures would be the fragment of the prison defending monument. Didn't the Tianqian sect have a fragment of the prison-suppressing steel? Could it be that the sect that won the last time was the Heavenly God sect? Junior brother, you know about the fragment of the prison-guarding steel? Although the prison-guarding steel is a legendary treasure that can suppress all evil spirits, it's broken and can't exert much power. Legend has it that if all the pieces can be put together, there will be a big secret. There's another treasure that's the key. It's also the focus of all the sections. It's said that this treasure contains the secret to Dao Vindication and Emperor Realm. Xuanixin said. The secret of Dao Vindication and Emperor. Lu Ming was even more shocked. That's right. It's a pity that these 2 treasures have been passed around in the hands of the major sects for so many years. However, none of the sects have been able to obtain or crack this secret. However, none of the sects will give up. They all want to keep it in their hands and continue to study it. As for the Heavenly God sect, they have already obtained the first place for several consecutive years and have control of 2 treasures. Xuanixin. Sure enough, it's the Heaven Deity sect. Lu Ming nodded with a fiery light in his eyes. What he was interested in was the fragment of the prison guarding steel and the other treasure that was related to the secret of becoming a monarch. Although he was curious, he was not very interested. All the major sects had researched for so many years without any results. He didn't think that he would be able to discover any secrets. Senior sister, so we're going to the Tsang Mountains to participate in the competition? Lu Ming asked. Of course not. Xuanixin shook her head and said, "The candidates for the competition have been well learned by the major sections. They are all extremely powerful people among the younger generation. Some of them are even standing at the peak of the martial emperor realm. Even the weakest of them has entered the 7th level of the martial emperor realm. Those below the 7th level of the martial emperor realm are not qualified to participate. Even if they participate, it is useless." Lu Ming nodded. It was true. With their current cultivation and combat strength, they were still far from being a match for those at the peak of the martial emperor realm. Chapter 1503 Chapter 1503 Departure, Tsang Mountain. Although those below the 7th level of the martial royal realm are not allowed to participate, many people will rush over to watch. After all, this is a grand event that happens once every 3 years in the Azure continent. At that time, some of the top geniuses of the Azure continent will appear. To be able to see these people fight will be very helpful to one's own cultivation. And the top 10 geniuses of the Azure continent's younger generation will all be gathered here. Xuanning said in her heart. At the end of her sentence, her eyes revealed a look of yearning. The top 10 demon-level geniuses of the Azure continent? Lu Ming muttered. The top 10 geniuses of the Azure continent were the top 10 geniuses among the younger generation of the Azure continent. It was said that each of them had reached the peak of the martial emperor realm, and their combat strength was astonishing. It was said that the number 1 person among the younger generation in Dragon God Valley was one of the top 10 geniuses. Then let's go. I want to see it too. 3 years ago, I missed it because of my cultivation. This time, I can't miss it. Tian Chui said. Alright, let's go. Lu Ming and Xuanixin both nodded. The 3 of them flew out of the Cloud Dragon Valley. When they were out of the Dragon God Valley, Tian Chui waved his hand and a flying shuttle appeared. It grew in the wind and became dozens of meters long. The journey to the Tsang Mountains was quite far, and it was best to take the space-breaking flying shuttle. The 3 of them entered the shuttle. The interior of the flying shuttle was very spacious and there were inscriptions on it. There was also a piece of crystal glass in front that could reflect the scene outside. Let's go. Tian Chui lightly shouted, activating the space-breaking shuttle. Whoosh! The flying shuttle broke through the air at an astonishing speed. Looking out through the crystal glass, one could see endless mountains and rivers passing behind. It's really comfortable to have a space-breaking flying shuttle. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. As long as he activated the space-breaking flying shuttle with a rough stone, he could ignore it. However, it was very convenient to cultivate while traveling. Lu Ming had long wanted to buy one, but the price of the space-breaking flying shuttle was extremely high. He could not even afford the lowest-grade space-breaking flying shuttle now. Little junior brother, this trip to the Tsang Mountains will take more than half a month, even if you take the space-breaking flying shuttle. You can cultivate here. Tian Chui said. Lu Ming nodded. The 3 of them each chose a seat and sat cross-legged. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. Boom! Suddenly, the space-breaking flying shuttle started to shake violently, and it stopped. Someone was attacking the shuttle. Lu Ming and the other 2 were shocked. They quickly ended their cultivation and looked out through the crystal glass. There were more than a dozen figures standing in front of them, looking at them with cold eyes. There were more than a dozen figures, including an old man and a middle-aged man. They were all wearing black robes and had fierce expressions. Damn it, you dare to attack my space-breaking flying shuttle, you're looking for death. Tian Chui roared as he opened the door of the flying shuttle and rushed out. Lu Ming and Xuanixin quickly followed him out. Who is attacking my space-breaking flying shuttle? You're looking for death. Tian Chui furiously roared as his savage gaze swept across the dozen over people. So it's just a few little kids and girls. Ha, our luck is pretty good. Now, hand over the space-breaking flying shuttle and get lost. one of the burly men shouted. So it was to snatch the space-breaking flying shuttle. You want to steal my space-breaking flying shuttle? Tian Chui's eyes were cold as he stared at the large man. Nonsense, didn't you hear what I said? Get out of here and leave your storage rings behind. Otherwise, I'll take your lives here. The burly man shouted coldly, and a powerful aura emanated from his body. 7th level Martial Emperor Realm. This burly man was a LV7 Martial Royal Realm expert. No wonder he didn't take them seriously. The dozen or so people behind the burly man were not weak either. They were all at least at the LV4 Martial Royal Realm. Boss, why are you talking to them? Just kill her. That girl is not bad. Let us enjoy her. Behind the burly man, a thin middle-aged man's eyes were filled with killing intent. He ruthlessly looked at Xuanixin. You're looking for death. Junior brother and junior sister, leave this guy to me and leave the rest to you. Tian Chui said. With that, a huge hammer appeared in his hand as he walked towards the large man with a ferocious look. You're only at the 5th level of the Martial Royal Realm. If you want to die, I'll grant you your wish. A large blade appeared in the man's hand, and he took a step forward, appearing above Tian Chui's head, and swung his blade at Tian Chui. You're the one who's going to die. Tian Chui roared in anger, his giant hammer smashing towards his opponent. Clang! The giant hammer and the saber collided with a huge boom. The burly man's body shook violently. With a muffled groan, his body was sent flying and slid in the air for hundreds of meters. How is that possible? The burly man roared in disbelief. The other party was only at the LV5 Martial Royal Realm, but he was able to send him flying with just one hammer strike. He even felt his arm tremble and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. 2 months ago, Tian Chui was already able to suppress Mao Ding on the floating platform, and even though they were both at the 7th level of the Martial Emperor Realm, Mao Ding was clearly stronger than this burly man. Furthermore, Tian Chui's domain had broken through to the 7th level, so he was much stronger than this burly man. This is all you've got? I haven't even used half of my strength. Die! Tian Chui carried his huge hammer and charged towards the large man. Let's go together. The burly man roared. Kill! Immediately, the other dozen or so people also exploded with energy and charged at Tian Chui. Die! Xuanixin took a step forward and appeared in front of a LV6 Martial Royal Realm expert. She threw out a punch. The delicate fist destroyed all defenses as if it was a piece of rotten wood. The expert was directly blown apart. At the same time, Lu Ming also rushed out. Whoosh! Whoosh! A long spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand. With a shake of the spear, 7 to 8 spearlights were shot out. Each spearlight had the explosive power of 10 different attacks. It was unstoppable, unstoppable. 7 to 8 powerhouses, no matter if they were at the 4th, 5th, or 6th level Martial Royal Realm, were all pierced by Lu Ming's spear ray and died in the air. Devour! Then, Lu Ming's left palm clenched into a fist in the air. A terrifying devouring force erupted and enveloped the corpses. Their blood, true vitality, and other things were all devoured by Lu Ming, turning them into mummies that fell to the ground. Although Lu Ming's current cultivation was still at the 3rd level Martial Emperor Realm, his domain had broken through to the 4th level. In addition to the astonishing attack power of the 13 storing power strikes, it was easy for him to kill an ordinary 6th level Martial Emperor. Lu Ming circulated the devouring power and continued to refine the energy in his body. His cultivation level was rapidly increasing. During this period of time, he had been focused on cultivating the Chaos domain and was about to reach the peak of level 4. Thus, there was no resistance in increasing his cultivation. While Lu Ming was refining, Xuanixin had also finished her battle. The rest of the people were killed by Xuanixin. What powerful battle strength! Xue Ningxin's cultivation was also at the peak of the LV5 martial royal realm, but her combat strength was so amazing that she could kill an ordinary LV6 martial royal realm expert as easily as cutting vegetables. I can't waste it. Lu Ming unleashed his devouring power and devoured all the blood essence of the people Xue Ningxin had killed. Xue Ningxin glanced at Lu Ming, surprised by the overbearing power of his devouring power. Chapter 1504, 1504 The Dragon's Roar in the Lake Boom. At this moment, Tian Chui and the burly man's battle had also reached the end. Tian Chui's attack was like a madman, and the burly man was completely unable to resist. He was bombarded by Tian Chui until his mouth was full of blood. Finally, Tian Chui's hammer smashed him to the ground, causing a huge pit to appear. "Spare me, spare me." The burly man's eyes swept over the crowd and realized that all the people he had brought with him had been killed. He screamed in fear. He knew that he had kicked an iron plate. These people were all monsters. Just now, you wanted to take my space-breaking flying shuttle and kill us. Now, you want me to let you go? What a joke. Tian Chui revealed a sinister smile. The burly man's heart turned cold. He shouted, "I want to take your space-breaking flying shuttle for a reason. It's because we found a place where a precious treasure has appeared. However, only the space-breaking flying shuttle can enter. The birth of a great treasure." Tian Chui, Xue Ningxin, and Lu Ming were stunned. "That's right. As long as you promise to let me go, I'll tell you the location of the treasure." The burly man shouted. "Oh. Really, don't lie to me." Tian Chui's eyes gleamed with a sharp glint. "I can swear that I won't lie to you, but you have to promise not to kill me." The burly man said. "All right, I promise not to kill you. I swear." Immediately, Tian Chui swore that if the burly man told him, he would not kill him. About half a day's journey from here, there's a lake called Dragon Lake. It's said that powerful true dragons live there. Some time ago, a dragon's roar came from the Dragon Lake, and it was deafening. The burly man said. "There's a powerful true dragon living there." The three of them were surprised and curious. One had to know that one of the three of them was a pure-blooded true dragon. What's the relationship between the dragon roar of Dragon Lake and the space-breaking flying shuttle? Tian Chui asked. Because there's a strong murderous aura around the Dragon Lake. It's hard to get in without a strong defensive treasure. The sky-breaking shuttle has amazing defensive power and is fast. It can definitely get in safely. The burly man said. "Now, I've told you everything I know. Can you let me go?" The burly man said. Bang! As soon as the burly man finished speaking, a fist struck his dantian, penetrating it and shattering his spiritual spirit. It was Xue Ningxin. "You guys, don't keep your word." The burly man roared, his voice filled with unwillingness. "I promised not to kill you, but my junior sister didn't." Tian Chui laughed maliciously. The burly man's life force dissipated unwillingly. Lu Ming smiled slightly and did not mind. In the world of martial arts, the weak were prey to the strong, especially in Yuanlu. A soft-hearted person would not go far. The devouring power burst forth and directly devoured the burly man's blood essence. Devouring power, what a powerful secret skill. Tian Chui cast a glance at Lu Ming. He thought that Lu Ming was using a secret skill. Lu Ming smiled and did not explain. "There's a dragon's roar coming from Dragon Lake. Junior brother and junior sister, do you want to go and take a look?" Tian Chui asked. "I was thinking the same thing." Lu Ming said. "Of course I'm going to take a look." Xue Ningxin said. "All right, then let's go." Tian Chui laughed. The three of them boarded the space-breaking flying shuttle, which then flew north at high speed. Lu Ming sat cross-legged at the side, refining the energy in his body. More than a dozen experts at the 4th level Martial Emperor realm and above, including one at the 7th level Martial Emperor realm, had rich energy that continuously transformed into Lu Ming's vital essence. Lu Ming's vital essence continued to become more and more powerful. Not long after, when the energy was refined, Lu Ming's cultivation level increased and he reached the later stage of the 3rd level Martial Emperor realm. At the same time, they had arrived at their destination, Dragon Lake. In front of him, the world was filled with a thick black mist. This mist was the evil qi. If a martial artist entered, he would be corroded by the murderous aura. At best, he would go crazy. At worst, his soul would be obliterated and he would die on the spot. It was extremely powerful. Look, there are other people. Through the crystal glass, they saw some figures standing outside the murderous aura and watching from a distance. Some people's gazes turned to them, flashing with greed. Buzz! Buzz! A few figures streaked across the sky and flew towards them. One of them was even more overbearing. He waved his hand, forming a huge palm that grabbed at the shuttle. It was clear that they were the same as the people they had met before, wanting to seize their space-breaking flying shuttle. I'm too lazy to play with you guys. Tian Chui coldly snorted, urging his flying shuttle forward. With a chi sound, the flying shuttle rushed forward, destroying the palm and directly rushing into the evil chi. The few of them stopped unwillingly. The space-breaking shuttle flew into the area of evil chi and rushed straight forward. Look, there are other space-breaking flying shuttles. Xuanixin said as she looked outside. Lu Ming and the rest saw it too. Not far away from them, there was also a space-breaking flying shuttle flying forward. Roar! At this time, a dragon's roar came from the front, even passing through the space-breaking flying shuttle. The roar of a dragon. What a domineering dragon's roar. However, this sound doesn't seem to be made by a living true dragon. Xuanixin said as she separated them seriously. It's not the sound of a living true dragon. Tian Chui and Lu Ming raised their eyebrows. They knew that some true dragons would leave their imprints after death and let out dragon roars. They, for example, could also let out dragon roars when they awakened the true dragon bloodline and condensed the true dragon combat body. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to tell the difference, but Xuanixin was a true dragon, so it wasn't strange for her to be able to tell. Could this be a cave abode left behind by a true dragon after it died? The three of them guessed as they controlled the flying shuttle to continue forward. After a while, they finally flew out of the place filled with murderous aura. In front of them, a huge lake appeared. At first glance, it was like a vast ocean with no end in sight. Moreover, there was no murderous aura here. So many people. Through the crystal glass, they looked outside and saw many figures on the lake. Some people were flying above the lake, as if they were looking for something. It seemed that many people had heard of this news. Some of them were very young and were likely geniuses of the top sections. The three of them left the space-breaking flying shuttle. The space-breaking flying shuttle shrank and was put away by Tian Chui. He looked around and saw no less than 100 people. Some people glanced at them and then ignored them. There doesn't seem to be anything here. Tian Chui said. The three of them flew over the lake, looking at the calm surface of the lake as if there was nothing there. Boom! Someone launched an attack into the lake, stirring up thousands of waves. Walala! Suddenly, a huge pincer stretched out from the waves and clamped at the man. The man screamed as his body was cut in two. His blood splattered on the lake, dyeing it red. The waves churned, and everyone could see that it was a giant lobster. Its entire body was fiery red, and its aura was powerful. Chapter 1505, 1505 Chapter 1505 10 Monsters Walala. Suddenly, from another lake, a silver light flashed and flew through the air. It pierced through a human warrior and his blood spilled on the spot. Everyone saw that it was a silver swordfish that looked like a silver divine sword. The swordfish killed one person and fell into the lake, disappearing. Ah! Ah! At the same time, a few more blood-curdling screeches were heard. A few aquatic demonic beasts rushed out of the lake and killed a few people. Not good. Many people's expressions changed. Just now, the surface of the lake had been calm, and they thought that there were no living creatures under the lake. They didn't expect that so many aquatic demonic beasts would suddenly attack them. Walala! The surface of the lake churned. This time, countless aquatic demonic beasts rushed out of the lake and attacked the group. Some of them were not strong, but some of them were extremely terrifying. Kill these demonic beasts. Someone roared and launched an attack on the demonic beasts in the water. A chaotic battle instantly erupted. The demonic beasts in the water were constantly being killed. None of the human cultivators who could enter this place were weak. Just now, a few of them had been killed due to a moment of carelessness. Now that they were fighting back with all their might, large numbers of water demonic beasts were killed. Human warriors, get out of here. A giant octopus flew into the sky and roared like thunder. The 8 huge tentacles waved out and wrapped around a LV-7 Martial Emperor. With a shake, the LV-7 Martial Emperor was killed. Then, it swung its tentacle and killed the 2 6th-level Martial Royal Realm martial artists. Strong. This octopus was actually at the 9th level of the Martial Royal Realm. Evil creature, I'll kill you. An old voice rang out. An old man stepped into the air and attacked the octopus. The two of them were engaged in a fierce battle. Lu Ming, Tian Chui, and Xuaningxin were also under attack. A group of lobsters charged toward the three of them. These lobsters were covered in iron armor and were impervious to swords and spears. Their defense was amazing. The one in the lead was a 7th-level martial monarch. Lu Ming's spear pierced through a 5th-level martial emperor lobster. It's so hard. Lu Ming felt that the defense of this 5th-level martial royal realm lobster was stronger than many 6th-level martial royal realm martial artists. It was even harder to kill. There are so many powerful aquatic demonic beasts in a lake. It's not simple. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. Demonic beasts were generally divided into 2 types as their cultivation level increased. The first was to take human form and form a force. One could even join a human sect to comprehend the great Tao of heaven and earth and cultivate the laws of heaven and earth. This type of cultivation path was very similar to that of humans. They were called demonic cultivators. The other type didn't take a human form and kept their beast form. They lived in the deep mountains and lakes and continued to cultivate according to their beast nature. They developed their beast body and kept their beast nature. These types were generally called vicious beasts and savage beasts. This kind of fierce and savage beast would be even more ferocious and have some shocking combat strength. Obviously, the demonic beasts in the lake belonged to the category of ferocious beasts. Both sides were fighting fiercely. However, there were more experts on the human side. There were even quite a few experts at LV-8 and LV-9 Martial Royal Realm. They were all experts from small forces near the Dragon Lake. Slowly, the humans gained the upper hand. Demonic beasts were killed one after another, and the lake was dyed red with blood. CSI. Suddenly, the water in the lake churned and a huge black shadow emerged from the lake. It swallowed a LV-8 Martial Royal Realm expert. It was a pitch-black giant snake that was 1,000 meters long. Its aura was violent and extremely terrifying. It swallowed a LV-8 Martial Royal Realm expert in one gulp. It was too shocking. Not good. A peak martial emperor and a half-saint blue deep-water snake. Someone shouted in fear. Lu Ming and the other two were greatly shocked. The peak of the martial emperor realm was also known as the half-saint realm. It was one step into the saint realm and was extremely powerful. There was actually such a terrifying giant snake here. However, there was an even more shocking scene. Another Tsangming water snake appeared on the other side of the lake. Its aura was no weaker than the previous one. With a swing of its tail, it sent a LV9 Martial Royal Realm expert flying, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. 2 blue abyss water snakes. There were actually 2 such terrifying blue abyss water snakes in the Dragon Lake. Outsiders, get out of here. Otherwise, I'll kill you without mercy. A Tsangming water snake let out a long hiss and rose into the air like a real dragon. It rolled its huge body and charged toward a LV9 Martial Royal Realm expert. The LV9 Martial Royal Realm expert was shocked. The 9th level of the Martial Emperor Realm was basically the peak of the Martial Emperor Realm. However, compared to the existence of the Half-Saint Realm, he was still far from it. Bang! The LV9 Martial Royal Realm expert was sent flying by the attack. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. If you're still not leaving, then kill without mercy. The other Tsangming water snake said coldly. What big words. Let's see who you can kill. At this moment, a cold voice came from the sky. Then, a beam of milky white holy light descended from the sky and struck one of the blue deep water snakes. CSI. The Tsangming water snake opened its mouth and spat out a black stream of water towards the milky white holy light. However, as soon as the stream of water came into contact with the holy light, it was pierced through. The holy light landed on the blue deep water snake's body and it let out a blood-curdling screech. A large portion of its scales were knocked off and it started bleeding. So strong. Everyone's hearts trembled. A sage had injured the half-saint blue deep water snake with one move. Buzz! A powerful pressure spread down from the sky. Everyone looked up and saw a young man in a white robe. Even his shoes were white. He walked in the air step by step, emitting a milky white holy light, like a god. Deity sect, deity. When Xuanixin saw this person, she exclaimed in a low voice, and her pupils shrank. What? This person is the divine child. Tian Chui also cried out in shock, and his eyes were filled with a strong desire to fight. In the heavenly gods sect, there were holy virgins and holy sons. However, there was only one person who was called the divine son. He was one of the 10 monstrous talents of the Azure continent, the number 1 heavens chosen of the heavenly gods sect. The Son of God stepped through the air and locked onto the Tsangming water snake with his powerful aura. He looked in the other direction and said, Wang Jian, since you're here, why aren't you attacking? Ha ha ha, I wanted to watch the fun, but since that's the case, leave the other blue deep water snake to me. In the sky, a sword light flashed, and a young man carrying a long sword appeared. Wang Jian, the peerless heaven's favorite of the Jiuxiao sword sect, one of the top 10 geniuses of the Azure continent. Someone exclaimed. 2 of the top 10 geniuses of the Azure state had actually come. Get lost. Who are you? Get lost. A Tsangming water snake roared and charged towards Wang Jian. Divine child, let's compete to see who can kill the blue deep water snake faster. How about it? Wang Jian laughed as he pointed his finger out like a sword. A ray of sword radiance shot out towards the blue profound water snake. A deep gash was left on the blue deep water snake's body. That's exactly what I wanted. It's been 3 years since we last met. Wang Jian, let's see if you've made any progress. The Son of God spoke softly. He took a step forward and a beam of divine light shot towards one of the blue deep water snakes. Chapter 1506, 1506 Chapter 1506 Dragon Palace. The Divine Child and Wang Jian each took one of the 2 blue dark water snakes. The 2 sides began a great battle. The sword radiance was shocking and holy light filled the air. The 2 blue deep water snakes were no match for him and were completely crushed. So powerful. Is this the combat strength of the top 10 demon-level geniuses of the Azure continent? Lu Ming muttered, looking a little solemn. The deity and Wang Jian probably hadn't entered the Saint Realm yet, but their battle power was extremely shocking. The two half-saint blue deep-water snakes weren't their match at all. Kill! After a few moves, Wang Jian shouted and unsheathed the long sword on his back. A terrifying sword light cut through the void. Puchi! Blood splattered everywhere as the Tsangming water snake's head was cut off by the sword light. Its huge body fell onto the lake and it was dead. On the other side, the godchild's holy light condensed into a divine blade and split the blue deep-water snake in half. The two of them had killed two blue deep-water snakes at the same time. Many people gasped at the sight. He was too strong. The half-saint blue deep-water snake was no match for it. It was killed in a few moves. Can you kill a saint if you're not a saint? Someone muttered. That's impossible. The Saint Realm is too powerful. It's only a legend that one can kill a saint without entering the Saint Realm. Although the top 10 geniuses are powerful, they can't be a match for a Saint Realm expert. Someone analyzed in a low voice. Son of God, it seems like we're evenly matched. Wang Jian looked at the Son of God, his eyes filled with fighting intent. These two blue deep-water snakes are too weak. There's no point in competing. The Son of God said casually. Divine Son, I will definitely defeat you in this time's fixed treasure meet. Wang Jian's eyes glowed like two divine swords. 3 years ago, you weren't my match. Now, you're even less of a match for me. The Son of God placed his hands behind his back and spoke indifferently. He was filled with confidence. Well, know who wins and who loses when the time comes. For now, let's deal with these demonic beasts. Wang Jian snorted coldly. His combat sword cut through the void, and rays of sword light scattered down, killing the demonic beasts one after another. The Son of God smiled indifferently and stepped into the air. With a burst of holy light, the demonic beasts were also killed. With Wang Jian and the Divine Son taking action, it was a complete suppression. A large number of demonic beasts were harvested, and there was no room for others to intervene. In every fixed treasure meet, the top 10 monsters are the main force. 3 years ago, I went to see them once, and their combat strength was amazing. Now that 3 years have passed, the top 10 monsters' combat strength must be even more terrifying. Xuaningxin said in a low voice. Lu Ming nodded. It was no wonder that they did not get any points in the treasure sealing assembly. Those below the 7th level Martial Emperor realm were not even qualified to participate. Lu Ming and the others were too weak to face such a monstrous talent. They did not even have the right to fight him and would be killed in a second. However, Lu Ming was not discouraged. These people were in the Yuan continent and the cultivation environment was too good. In addition, they had amazing talent. Naturally, their cultivation was high. However, Lu Ming was confident that he would be able to catch up to these people in a few years' time. He would be able to compete with them and even surpass them. Will I be able to participate in the next 3 years? Lu Ming revealed a look of anticipation. One of the 2 treasures of the treasure auction was the fragment of the prison-suppressing steel. If he could help Dragon God Valley win first place and get the right to study 2 treasures for 3 years, could he get the fragment of the prison-suppressing steel? Many thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Blood splattered everywhere as a large number of demonic beasts were killed. Not long after, almost all the demonic beasts in Dragon Lake were slaughtered. Some of the weaker ones were so scared that they hid in the lake. The surface of the lake became quiet. Roar! At this moment, a dragon's roar came from under the lake. However, after the dragon's roar, the surface of the lake remained calm, and nothing else happened. There must be something unusual at the bottom of the lake. Otherwise, how could there be 2 half-saint blue deep-water snakes in a small lake? Wang Jian's eyes were like 2 divine swords. He looked at the lake as if he was going to pierce through it. Well, no, once we break it open and take a look. The Son of God was extremely domineering. He was bathed in holy light like the son of a god. He took a step forward, shaking the world. Then, he extended a hand and clenched it. A powerful suction force burst out. The lake water below was sucked up into a funnel. Then, the divine child pressed down with his palm. Boom! The lake water rushed down once more. The surface of the lake trembled, and the water in the center of the lake was pushed away. The water surged in all directions, and a dry area appeared. Slash! The Son of God said softly. A beam of holy light flew out like a heavenly blade and slashed at the bottom of the lake. Boom! 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 The bottom of the lake was split open, and a huge crack appeared. However, the bottom of the lake was empty. What? The Son of God frowned. Whoosh! Below him, the lake water rolled backward, causing huge waves. Roar! At this moment, another dragon's roar was heard. Over there. Wang Jian's eyes turned. He took a step forward and appeared dozens of miles away. A shocking sword light bloomed from his hand and slashed at the lake. Whoosh! 100-mile-long sword mark appeared on the surface of the lake. The lake water was split open, and a deep crack appeared at the bottom of the lake. Roar! A dragon's roar was heard from the crack. Then, a dragon's shadow rushed out of the crack. This was not a real dragon, but a phantom. After it rushed into the sky, it automatically dissipated. Boom! 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 Then, a violent roar came from the bottom of the lake, and wisps of golden light spread out. There's something. There's really something under the lake. Many people's eyes lit up. The water in the lake was boiling and constantly rolling. The bottom of the lake was shaking as if there was a huge creature that was trying to break free from the bottom of the lake. The ground cracked open and endless lake water poured in. The rumbling sounds continued. Then, a huge object appeared. This was a huge palace that glowed with a golden light. On the walls and pillars, there were lifelike carvings of true dragons. Dragon Palace. This is a dragon palace. Someone exclaimed. It said that a powerful true dragon lived in Dragon Lake in ancient times. It's true. This dragon palace is so magnificent. The true dragon living in it must be a true dragon of the Saint Realm. Many people's eyes lit up. There were legends in the distant past. It had been many years since then. Even if there were true dragons in the Saint Realm, they would have fallen. So, after the true dragon fell, was it in this dragon palace? How many treasures were there in the dragon palace? No wonder there were so many powerful aquatic demonic beasts in this lake. It turned out that there was a dragon palace at the bottom of the lake. The ground caved in, and the lake water was swept away. Soon, the entire dragon palace appeared in front of everyone. In front of the dragon palace, there was a wide passage that led to the gate of the dragon palace. It could be seen that the door was tightly shut. On both sides of the passage, there were statues of true dragons. They seemed to be made of bronze and were very lifelike, looking very mighty. Chapter 1507, 1507 Chapter 1507 Rushing into the Dragon Palace Buzz. Suddenly, a figure rushed toward the gate of the Dragon Palace. However, when he reached the passage in front of the gate, the true dragon statues on both sides of the passage let out dragon roars and gave off a brilliant light. The images of true dragons rushed out and pounced at the figure. The figure was a middle-aged burly man with a cultivation of LV for martial royal realm. He was shocked and tried his best to resist. However, in the next moment, his defense was torn apart by the shadow of the true dragon, and his body was torn into pieces. A martial artist at the LV4 martial royal realm was killed instantly. Some people gasped. It seemed that it would not be easy to enter the dragon palace. The shadow of the true dragon is so powerful. It seems to be at the 7th level of the martial emperor realm. That's right. It seems that those below the 7th level of the martial emperor realm can't enter at all. Some people were discussing. This old man will give it a try. An old man stepped out and rushed toward the gate of the dragon palace. Similarly, when he flew to the passageway, many true dragon shadows pounced at him. The old man exploded and sent out palm prints continuously, clashing with the true dragon's shadow. The true dragon silhouettes were sent flying, but the old man bravely advanced forward. Not long after, he passed through the passageway and arrived in front of the gate. Seeing this, more and more people flew toward the gate of the dragon palace. However, most of them were at least at the 7th level martial monarch realm. They charged forward with all their might and arrived in front of the door. The Son of God and Wang Jian also moved. The true dragon's shadows didn't really stop them. Break the door. The divine son was very domineering. He took a big step forward and punched the gate of the dragon palace. Boom! The gate of the dragon palace shook violently as if it was about to be shattered. Everyone, what are you waiting for? The godchild said. All right, let's attack together. The others also started to move. There were about 20 of them in total. All kinds of rainbow light landed on the door. The door rumbled and finally couldn't bear the heavy load and directly exploded. Charge! Whoosh! As soon as the gate of the dragon palace opened, more than 20 people rushed in and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Senior brother, senior sister, do you want to try? Lu Ming looked at Tian Chui and Xuanixin. Since I'm here, I naturally have to give it a try. Tian Chui said, and Xuanixin nodded her head. All right, let's go together. Lu Ming said. The three of them immediately flew toward the gate of the dragon palace. Many people looked at them in surprise. These three people are really bold. Two of them are at the 5th level of the martial royal realm, and one of them is at the 3rd level. They actually want to break into the dragon palace. They're really looking for death. Young man, a newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger. Someone said in disdain. Lu Ming and the other two pretended that they did not hear anything. When they were about to reach the gate, the shadows of true dragons pounced on them. Get lost! Tian Chui roared in anger as he smashed his gigantic hammer forward. Bang! A true dragon's shadow was sent flying. Xuanixin threw out a punch and also sent a true dragon's shadow flying. Lu Ming held the long spear and swept it across. He hit one of the dragons. 10 layers of power burst out from the long spear and sent the true dragon's shadow flying. What? The true dragon's shadow was sent flying. Even that 3rd level martial royal realm expert was able to send the true dragon's shadow flying. How is that possible? The people below the 7th level martial royal realm all exclaimed in disbelief. Roar! 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 Dragon roars were heard as more true dragon silhouettes pounced toward Lu Ming and the other two. The three of them stood in a triangular formation, each in charge of one side, and continued to bombard. Bang! 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 The true dragon silhouettes were sent flying one after another. The three of them formed a formation that was like a sharp knife as they charged towards the gate. Soon, they broke through the obstruction of the true dragon silhouettes and successfully arrived in front of the gate. That true dragon's shadow must have weakened. Yes, after so many people's attacks, the power of the true dragon's shadow has weakened. Otherwise, how could a mere LV3 martial emperor realm expert break through? Our chance has come. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. Immediately, a few people rushed to the gate of the dragon palace. A dragon's roar resounded, and the shadows of true dragons pounced at these people. Get lost. An elder at the 6th level of the martial royal realm tried to punch the shadow of the true dragon away. However, when his fist collided with the shadow of the true dragon, his expression changed drastically. With a cracking sound, his bones were broken. Blood spurted out of his mouth as he was sent flying. Behind him, a shadow of the true dragon flew by and tore him in half. Ah! Ah! At the same time, a few more people screamed and died on the spot. They were killed by the true dragon. The rest of the people were shocked. Some of the people who were about to rush out stopped in their tracks. They were covered in cold sweat and secretly rejoiced that their reaction was a little slow. The true dragon's power did not decrease at all. It was exactly the same as before. The three young men were actually able to rush over. Many people looked at Lu Ming and the rest in shock. They understood that these three people were monstrous geniuses. Their combat strength could not be measured with common sense. At that moment, Lu Ming and the other two rushed into the gate of the Dragon Palace. Behind the door was a wide hall. Behind the hall, on the left and right sides, there were two doors. Which way should we go? Tian Chui asked. Anything is fine, just the right side. Lu Ming said. Tian Chui and Xuaningxin nodded. The three of them rushed towards the door on the right and found that it was a passageway. After passing through the passageway, they found several long corridors with rooms on each side. The three of them walked into the rooms and found that they were empty. We're late, everything has been taken away. Tian Chui said. Because he could see that there were traces on the ground. There should have been things placed there before, but now they had been swept away. It should have been taken away by the people who had come in before them. Even the tables, chairs, flower pots, and the like were taken away. Lu Ming was somewhat speechless. Legend has it that true dragons love to collect all kinds of treasures and precious materials. Even some ordinary furniture is made of precious materials. Tian Chui muttered as he glanced at Xuaningxin. Why? I'm not convinced. Xuaningxin glared at Tian Chui. Tian Chui gave an innocent smile and the three of them continued on their way. When they passed by a room, they saw an old man who was currently plundering wantonly. The tables, chairs, candle stands, flower pots, and the like were all kept away. Whoa, that flower pot is made from jade essence stone. Jade essence stone can be used to forge Emperor's spiritual weapons, also, that table is made of dragon fang jade. That's a material for making holy weapons. Tian Chui's eyes widened as he exclaimed. The old man's movements were very fast. With a wave of his hand, he moved everything in the room. As expected, true dragons like to collect treasures. Those ordinary tools were all precious refining materials. It would be strange if they were not taken away. The old man glanced at them in surprise, but he ignored them. His figure flashed and he rushed to the other side. Let's hurry up too. Otherwise, we won't even have any soup to drink. Tian Chui called out. The three of them displayed their figures, randomly choosing a direction and flying off. Chapter 1508, 1508 The Dragon Coffin and the Dragon Corpse. Lu Ming and the other two went around a corridor and came to a room. They finally realized that the room had not been ransacked. The tables, chairs, and other rare refining materials were kept by the three of them. Then, they continued to move forward. However, this time, after passing a few rooms, they found that they had all been ransacked. The room they had just been in was a fish that had escaped the net. The three of them passed through a few rooms and came to a side hall. The three of them stopped there. In front of him, a white-robed young man stood with his hands behind his back. He was currently examining a painting on the wall of the hall. On this painting, there were a few true dragons flying in the air. It was extremely lifelike, as if a few true dragons were about to leap out of the painting. Divine Child. Lu Ming and the other two's eyes narrowed. This young man was the monstrous genius of the heavenly god sect, the Divine Son. Upon hearing the commotion, the divine son turned around and looked at Lu Ming and the other two with a cold gaze. A disciple of the Dragon God Valley. No wonder you can make it here. Get lost. Scram. The divine child said coldly. The last word was like a god's angry roar. Holy light burst forth, and a terrifying wind swept toward Lu Ming and the other two. The three men's expressions changed drastically. They released their true yuan and domains to resist, but the wind was too violent. It kept bombarding their bodies, and the three of them felt as if they had been struck by lightning. Their bodies trembled and they were forced to retreat. They felt their qi and blood churning, and they almost spat out blood. The divine son cast a cold glance at the three of them again. With a wave of his hand, he kept the scroll, as if he could not be bothered to attack Lu Ming and the other two. With a flash of his body, he left through a passageway. He's just scolding me for having a higher cultivation base. He's acting all high and mighty. Tian Chui unhappily cursed. Lu Ming did not make a sound. The world of martial Dao was like this. With strength, one could do whatever they wanted. Without strength, there was no point in talking. The three of them chose another direction to go. Not long after, they passed by a large hall. On the wall of the hall, there were many fist-sized luminous pearls embedded. Xue Ningxin's eyes lit up. She pulled out the night-luminescent pearls one by one and kept them excitedly. Lu Ming and Tian Chui looked at each other. The luminous pearl was a treasure to ordinary people, but to martial cultivators like them, it was no different from a useless stone. It's said that true dragons like to collect treasures, especially shiny ones. It's true. Tian Chui muttered. What do you know? Xue Ningxin glanced at Tian Chui, her eyes filled with disdain. Boom. Boom. At this time, the three of them were startled because they heard a violent explosion in front of them. Is there great battle, or? Tian Chui's brows twitched. Let's go take a look. Be careful. Lu Ming said. The three of them concealed their auras and headed in the direction of the sound. Not long after, the three of them walked out of a large door and came to a huge hall. The hall was extremely spacious and could probably hold hundreds of thousands of people. In the middle of the hall was a huge metal coffin. The coffin was carved with a true dragon, and there were layers of inscriptions on it. The dragon coffin. The three of them were shocked. This was clearly a dragon coffin. At this moment, a few experts were attacking the dragon coffin. However, the inscriptions on the dragon light appeared and formed a light screen that blocked the dragon coffin. Boom. 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 The experts were all above the 7th level of the martial royal realm. One of them was even at the 9th level of the martial royal realm. A brilliant light burst out from his hands and bombarded the light curtain of the dragon coffin. The light curtain trembled, but it could not be broken at the moment. The arrival of Lu Ming's group of three caused the few of them to turn around and look at them. When they saw that the strongest of the three was only at the 5th level of the martial emperor realm, a look of disdain flashed across their faces. However, they ignored them immediately. A dragon coffin. At this moment, a voice was heard. An 8th level martial royal realm expert had arrived and joined the others in attacking the dragon coffin. The loud explosions continuously attracted experts over. Slowly, more and more experts appeared. Buzz! A young man stepped out from a direction, his body filled with sword qi. He was the genius of Jiuxiao sword sect, Wang Jian. Bang! In another direction, holy light filled the air as the Son of God stepped out. The two demon-level geniuses of the Azure State had arrived at the same time. A dragon coffin. The Son of God's eyes were bright. Get lost, you bunch of trash. The Son of God shouted coldly. He took a step forward and appeared in front of the dragon coffin. Holy light exploded from his body. Two masters were sent flying by the Son of God's holy light. Detestable. The two experts roared in their hearts, but they didn't dare to say anything. Boom. The Son of God's palm struck the light screen of the coffin. The light screen above the dragon coffin trembled violently as if it would collapse at any moment, but it managed to hold on. Ha, Son of God, it seems like you can't do it. Let me help you. Wang Jian sneered. Sword light burst forth, and a terrifying sword light slashed at the light curtain. The light curtain also trembled violently, but it was not broken. Let's attack together. The Son of God looked at the others coldly. Bang! Then, the Son of God took a step forward. The brilliant holy light turned into a divine blade and slashed at the light screen above the dragon coffin. At the same time, Wang Jian also slashed out. The others gritted their teeth and made their moves. With so many people attacking together, the power was incomparably terrifying. They all struck the light screen together, causing it to shake madly. Kacha! A cracking sound came from the light curtain, and a crack appeared. The light screen cracked open. Everyone was excited and continued to attack. Finally, the light curtain exploded with a bang, and the inscriptions on the huge dragon coffin dimmed and disappeared. At this time, everyone's eyes fell on the dragon coffin. What was inside the dragon coffin? Could it be that a true dragon was really buried here? Open! The Son of God was bathed in holy light. A giant palm formed in the air and hit the dragon coffin heavily. Boom! 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 The lid of the dragon coffin was opened. Buzz! Buzz! And NBSP whoosh. At this moment, everyone rose into the air and looked into the dragon coffin. A dragon! A true dragon! A true dragon was lying in the dragon coffin. The true dragon's entire body was pitch black, and its black scales revealed a crystalline luster. There were 2 dragon horns on its head, and 5 dragon claws on its abdomen. It was a black dragon, and a mysterious aura emanated from its body. The Saint Realm. This true dragon had definitely reached the Saint Realm when it was alive. A true dragon of the Saint Realm was full of treasures. Back then, Lu Ming had spent 2 million contribution points to exchange for 15 kilograms of Sage Realm dragon bones with complete spirituality. It was evident how precious they were. This true dragon's corpse, even if it had lost some of its spirituality, was still priceless. Buzz! Buzz! Suddenly, someone moved and pounced towards the true dragon's corpse at extreme speed. You're looking for death. How dare you touch my true dragon? Kill! Die! The Son of God shouted coldly. Holy light burst forth, turning into a divine blade that slashed down. 2 shrieks rang out as the 2 people who had pounced on the true dragon were cut in half by the divine blade and died on the spot. Chapter 1509, 1509 The True Dragon's Resurrection. Divine Child, aren't you being a little too overbearing? We opened this dragon coffin together, and everyone who sees it has a share. Do you want to monopolize it? ALV-9 Martial Royal Realm Elder shouted angrily. Get lost. If you don't get lost, die. The Son of God said coldly, his voice abnormally overbearing. Hee, Divine Child, it won't be that easy for you to take over this true dragon for yourself. Wang Jian sneered. The Son of God took a look, his eyes cold, but he didn't say anything. Strength spoke for itself, and he could not ignore Wang Jian's strength. The others' expressions were ugly. It was difficult for them to fight against the 2 monstrous figures, Wang Jian and the Divine Son. Everyone, a Saint Realm dragon corpse is extremely rare. Since we've seen it, how can we not take a share? How about we join forces? The LV-9 Martial Emperor Realm Old Man said. Alright, I agree. I also agree. The others voiced their opinions. More than a dozen experts flashed and gathered together to fight against the Divine Son and Wang Jian. A bunch of motley crew, overestimating their own abilities. The Son of God said coldly and stepped toward the true dragon's corpse. He wanted to put away the divine dragon's corpse directly. As long as he put away the true dragon's corpse, no one would be able to compete with him. Buzz! The sound of a sword rang out, and Wang Jian also moved. How could he let the divine son monopolize it? Do it! The other experts also moved. There were 13 of them in total. 3 of them were at the 9th level of the martial royal realm, while the rest were at the 7th or 8th level. Even a half-saint expert couldn't ignore them. The 3 parties pounced at the true dragon at the same time. As for Lu Ming and the other 2, one of them stood at the side of the hall and watched coldly. With their strength, they couldn't do anything at all, and the divine child and the others had directly ignored them. Get lost! Get lost! The Son of God shouted a few times, and the holy light condensed into a divine blade. He instantly slashed out a dozen blades, aiming at Wang Jian and the dozen people. Buzz! The sword light exploded and clashed with the divine knife. The space was filled with the sound of fierce confrontation, and the sword chi and knife light were unrestrained. The dozen or so experts were also doing their best to block the divine son's blade light. The divine son seized the opportunity to grab the true dragon's corpse, trying to put it into his storage ring. Don't even think about it. At the same time, Wang Jian also grabbed a big hand and collided with the Son of God's big hand. It's ours. The dozen or so people charged forward with all their might and clawed at the dragon corpse. Roar! At this moment, an earth-shattering dragon roar burst out from the dragon hall, forming a terrifying sound wave that rolled out in all directions. The Son of God and Wang Jian's expressions changed slightly. They each slashed out a blade light and sword chi, breaking the sound waves. Other than the 2 LV9 martial royal realm experts who were able to withstand the sound wave, the rest of the people were forced to retreat. Some of them even spat out blood. Lu Ming and the other 2 also tried their best to block it. However, they were far away and the power of the sound waves was greatly reduced. They blocked it more easily. What's going on? Everyone present was shocked. A dragon's roar came from the dragon coffin. Could it be that the true dragon was not dead? Roar! Then, another dragon's roar came from the dragon coffin. Bang! Bang! Then, a banging sound came from the dragon coffin. The black dragon actually stood up and roared. It looked around, and its huge dragon eyes revealed a ferocious light. How is that possible? The Saint Realm True Dragon didn't die? No, the Saint Realm True Dragon is dead. This is just the inextinguishable mark of a Saint Realm True Dragon. Many people spoke out one after another. The last voice made everyone's heart tremble. They sensed carefully and found that there was no life aura on the true dragon. It had indeed died many years ago. The true dragon could move only because of a trace of an inextinguishable brand. What's the point of resisting when you're already dead? It's destined to be mine today. The Son of God said coldly. The holy light on his body became even more dazzling. He clenched his fist in the air and a long spear appeared in his hand. Many people were shocked. This was the secret art of the divine sect, the spear of divine punishment. Kill! The Son of God shouted, and the spear of divine punishment pierced through the void toward the true dragon's corpse. As long as the immortal mark of the Saint Realm True Dragon was destroyed, the Saint Realm True Dragon would be completely dead. Roar! The black true dragon roared in anger and struck out with its claw. Boom! The dragon claw and the Son of God's spear of divine punishment collided with a violent boom. The black dragon trembled, and the Son of God was forced to take 2 steps back. After all, a Saint Realm True Dragon had been dead for many years, and a trace of its mark couldn't have the battle power it had when it was alive. On the other side, sword light burst out and Wang Jian also appeared. The black true dragon wagged its tail and blocked Wang Jian's sword light. Then, the dragon's horns glowed, and two black rays of light burst out, slashing toward the divine sun and Wang Jian. The Son of God's spear of divine punishment struck again, destroying the black light. On the other side, Wang Jian had also destroyed the black light of the true dragon. You've been dead for so many years, yet you still want to resist. Today, I'll make you disappear completely. The Son of God opened his mouth, and the space between his brows lit up. A small pagoda flew out. It was a small white jade pagoda. As soon as it flew out, it expanded rapidly, emitting milky white holy light. Holy weapon! Someone exclaimed. Boom! The divine sun wielded his holy weapon, and with his cultivation base, he was able to control it with shocking power. The white jade pagoda crushed down toward the black dragon. Roar! The black true dragon roared angrily, and its dragon claw struck the small white jade tower heavily, making an extremely violent roar. Boom! The white jade pagoda trembled, but the true dragon's corpse also trembled and retreated. Then, the white jade pagoda came crashing down again. Even though the true dragon roared repeatedly, it was still suppressed. Roar! The black true dragon roared and actually abandoned the divine sun. It twisted its body and rushed into the sky above the hall. It actually wanted to escape. You won't be able to escape today. The Son of God waved his hand, and an inscription scroll appeared. When the scroll was opened, the inscriptions on it glowed. Buzz! A huge array appeared and suppressed the void. What a wonderful inscription scroll, it can actually stop the void. At the side of the hall, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The divine child's inscription scroll was extremely wondrous. It could cut off the void and seal it. This way, the black dragon would have difficulty escaping. Divine Son, you're really generous. You're even willing to take out an ancient inscription talisman scroll like the God-prohibited void. Wang Jian said. Humph. The Son of God snorted coldly and took a step forward. He appeared above the black dragon. The white jade pagoda was about to press down again and completely destroy the mark of the black dragon. Bubble, at this moment, no one noticed that Lu Ming had sent a voice transmission to the bubble on his shoulder. Then, the bubble opened its mouth and waved its little claws forward. Kacha! Kacha! Above the hall, the space that was sealed by the God-prohibited void space inscription scroll started to shake like water. Then, it shattered like glass. Chapter 1510 Dragon Palace Treasury. The inscription scroll of the God-prohibited void lost its effect. The sealing of the void failed. The inscription scroll automatically burned and turned into ashes. Inscription scrolls were usually disposable. Roar! The imprisonment of the void failed. The black dragon let out a long roar, and its dragon might was vast and mighty. Its entire body burst out with black light. Boom! The black true dragon struck out with its claws and heavily hit the white jade pagoda, sending it flying. Then, the black true dragon let out a long roar and soared into the sky. It directly smashed a big hole in the ceiling of the hall and flew out. Walala! Debris flew everywhere. A huge hole appeared above the dragon palace, and a black true dragon was about to fly out. Who is it? The Son of God roared as he scanned the surroundings, exuding an extremely cold killing intent. Just now, someone had secretly tampered with it and broke his God-prohibited void, allowing the black true dragon to escape. The Godchild's killing intent had reached its peak after losing such a great opportunity and an ancient God-forbidden scroll. No one made a sound. Whoosh! With a flash of sword light, the king's sword soared into the sky and chased after the black dragon. The Son of God let out an angry roar and also rose into the sky, chasing after the black true dragon. Let's go take a look. That's right, we should at least get a share of the loot. The other experts all rushed into the sky and rushed towards the hole above their heads. Light scattered from above. The black true dragon had just pierced through the roof of the dragon palace and rushed out of it. That's a true dragon. No, a true dragon's corpse. Let's go take a look. Lu Ming and the rest could still hear the sounds coming from outside. It was obvious that the people who couldn't enter the dragon palace were all shocked and they saw the black dragon fly out. Roar! Boom! Following that, a dragon's roar rang out. It was clear that the black true dragon had been caught up and was about to engage in another great battle with the divine sun and the others. Chirping. On Lu Ming's shoulder, bubbles were calling. Lu Ming smiled. Just now, Lu Ming had made Bubbles destroy the divine sun's God-forbidden void. Bubbles was a space-time spirit mouse and could control time and space. It was easy for her to destroy space in secret without anyone noticing. What should we do? Are you going out to watch the show? Said Tian Chui, feeling somewhat depressed. They had obtained nothing from the Dragon Palace except for some refining materials. As for the true dragon's corpse, he could only look on helplessly. How could he not be depressed when he couldn't fight for it? All true dragons like to build a treasure vault. It's very secretive, and I'm guessing that it hasn't been discovered yet. At this moment, Xuanixin spoke. Treasury? Tian Chui's eyes lit up. Xuanixin was a genuine true dragon, so she naturally understood the habits of true dragons the best. That's right. Xuanixin nodded and said, and that treasury is extremely well hidden. It's most likely not far from the true dragon's corpse. It's not far. It's very likely that it's in this hall. Lu Ming said. Not bad. Xue Xan nodded. Then let's hurry up and look for it. When those guys come back, we won't have anything to do with it. Tian Chui said. He then rushed out and looked around, searching for any hidden doors. Lu Ming and Xuanixin also looked around. However, after carefully looking around the hall, they did not discover anything. Don't tell me it's under the dragon coffin. At this moment, Lu Ming shifted his gaze to the dragon coffin. It's possible. Xuanixin's eyes lit up. If it was under the dragon coffin, wouldn't it be the closest to the black dragon? Ha, hurry up. Tian Chui hurriedly rushed over, his two palms pressing on the dragon coffin. His muscles bulged, and he pushed it with great force. Boom! 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 The huge dragon coffin was pushed up by Tian Chui. Lu Ming and Xuanixin also went to help. The three of them worked together and moved the dragon coffin. There's a door. As the dragon coffin was moved away, the eyes of the three people lit up. There was obviously a door at the bottom of the dragon coffin. From the appearance of the door, the true dragon treasury was most likely below. Break this door. A giant hammer appeared in Tian Chui's hands. Wait a moment. Lu Ming cried out. Then, the space between his brows glowed. Dense inscriptions appeared in the void, forming a large array. This large array could isolate sound. This was the inscription of the secondary body. Through Lu Ming, he was inscribing the array. Junior brother is so thoughtful. Tian Chui's lips curled into a smile as he lifted up his giant hammer and heavily smashed it against the door. Boom! The giant hammer smashed down with a violent boom. If it wasn't for the sound-isolating formation, it would have definitely alerted the people outside. However, the door on the ground was completely fine after the hammer hit it. It only left a faint mark. It's so hard. I don't believe it. Again. Tian Chui continued to lift up his giant hammer and smashed it down once more. But it was useless, it did not move at all. The heavenly hammer struck 7 or 8 times in a row, but the result was the same. No, it can't be opened. Tian Chui helplessly said. This door can only be opened with a special method. Brute force is useless. Lu Ming observed carefully. I've heard that some true dragons use their own blood as a key to seal the door to the treasure vault and test my blood. Xuaningxin said after thinking for a moment. Then, with a wave of her hand, Xuaningxin made a cut on her jade-like arm. Crystal-like blood dripped onto the ground. Boom! 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 The ground suddenly trembled and rumbled. Then, the door on the ground split open, revealing an underground secret room. As soon as the door opened, a bright light spread out from below. It's open, let's go down. Their eyes lit up and they flew down. Below them was a secret room. The moment they went down, the three of them were stunned. Treasures, they were all treasures. At a glance, it was all treasures, piled up like a mountain. There were all sorts of sparkling materials, some for spirit weapons and some for saint weapons, but they all had one thing in common, which was that they were all sparkling and sparkling. There were also all sorts of spirit weapons. Lu Ming took a glance and discovered that there were spiritual weapons of various levels. There were even low-level spiritual weapons. They were all sparkling and resplendent. Some spiritual treasures were even embedded with gems. He even saw piles of night pearls. Of course, there were also piles of raw gemstones. However, Lu Ming's gaze was fixed on the dozen or so balls of light floating in the air. A holy weapon. The dozen or so balls of light were all holy weapons. More than 10 holy weapons. Lu Ming's heart started to race. Put it away, let's quickly put it away. Lu Ming said. If they were discovered by the Son of God and the others, they wouldn't have a share. Yes, quickly put it away. Well, tidy it up after we get out. Tian Chui said. The three of them took out their interspatial rings and each of them took a few saint weapons. Then, they placed the forging materials, spirit weapons, ori rocks, and other items into their interspatial rings. Chapter 1511, 1511 The furious Son of God. In less than a minute, the entire treasury had been emptied by them, leaving nothing behind. Let's go. After moving everything, the three of them rushed out of the treasury and flew out of the hole that the true dragon had created. Boom! Boom! In the outside world, the battle was still going on above Dragon Lake. The Divine Son, Wang Jian, and the others were still attacking the black dragon corpse. Roar! The black true dragon emitted a black light all over its body, as if black flames were burning. Its combat strength was actually stronger than before. The true dragon's corpse is burning the seal to increase its combat strength. But soon, the seal disappeared and the true dragon's corpse couldn't resist anymore. Xuaningxin said. The three of them flew to the side of Dragon Lake and watched from afar. The Son of God controlled the white jade hall like a god's child. He bathed in holy light and attacked the black dragon continuously. As for Wang Jian, there was also a combat sword floating above his head. Its power was shocking, and it was obviously a saint weapon as well. Rays of terrifying sword light slashed towards the black dragon. As for the other experts, they could only watch from afar and could not interfere at all. Roar! The black true dragon suddenly roared. 2 dragon horns flew out of its head and rapidly grew in size. In the end, they turned into 2 blades that reached the sky and slashed down at the Son of God and Wang Jian. Clang! Clang! The deity's white jade pagoda and Wang Jian's combat sword were both sent flying by the dragon's horn. The deity and Wang Jian's bodies trembled as they retreated. Roar! The black true dragon roared in anger, twisted its body, and rushed into the distance. You want to leave? Dream on! The Son of God shouted in anger. He controlled the white jade pagoda and heavily struck one of the dragon's horns. The dragon's horn was sent flying, and its light dimmed. It quickly became smaller. The Son of God rushed over and grabbed the dragon horn. On the other side, Wang Jian also held a dragon horn in his hand. The two of them put away the dragon horn and turned into a rainbow light, chasing after the black dragon. There are dragon scales. It's mine. As soon as the Son of God and Wang Jian left, the rest of the people went into a frenzy. In the battle just now, many dragon scales had fallen off the black dragon's body. If these dragon scales were refined into a defensive armor, they would definitely be a rare treasure. The experts under him all pounced towards the 5 or 6 dragon scales. A chaotic battle broke out at the scene. From time to time, experts would let out miserable screams as they were killed. "Senior brother, senior sister, let's go," Lu Ming said to Tian Chui and Xuaningxin. They had gained a lot from this trip. They had emptied a Saint Realm True Dragon's treasure vault. This was the biggest winner. It was worth it. There was no point in staying here. All right. Tian Chui took out his flying shuttle, and the three of them entered it. The flying shuttle broke through the air and entered the murderous aura. Not long after Lu Ming and the rest left, the Divine Sun and Wang Jian returned with cold faces. The Son of God, in particular, exuded a cold killing intent. It was obvious that their harvest wasn't good, and they might have lost the true black dragon. Die. The Son of God's entire body seemed to have transformed into a long spear that pierced through the void and charged towards the powerful beings who were fighting for the dragon's scale. Puchi. ALV-9 Martial Royal Realm expert had been pierced through by the deity and died on the spot. Today, none of you shall think of leaving, kill. The Son of God said coldly. The spear of divine punishment pierced through the void and killed another expert. Previously, in the Dragon Palace, he had used the God-prohibited Void Inscription Talisman Scroll to imprison the Black True Dragon. That way, the Black True Dragon would not be able to escape at all. It would be destroyed by him and the True Dragon's corpse would be in his possession. However, at the crucial moment, he was disturbed. Someone destroyed the inscription scroll of the God-prohibited Void, allowing the Black True Dragon to escape. The God-forbidden Void Inscription Talisman Scroll was an ancient inscription talisman scroll that he had obtained by chance. It was extremely precious, but if he could get the Saint Realm True Dragon's corpse, it would also be a big profit. But now, he didn't get the Saint Realm True Dragon's corpse and wasted the God-prohibited ancient Void Talisman. This made his killing intent extremely strong. Needless to say, the person who had destroyed him was one of the people who had entered the Dragon Palace before. Therefore, the Son of God was now on a killing spree. One expert after another was killed by the Divine Child. The Son of God has gone crazy. Quickly run. The remaining experts fled in all directions. Don't even think about leaving. The Son of God said coldly. The white jade pagoda flew out and turned into the size of a mountain, pressing down. The rest of the people screamed as their bodies exploded, and their bodies and spirits were destroyed. The dozens of experts who had entered the Dragon Palace were all killed by the Divine Sun in an instant, except for Wang Jian. Where are the 3 ants from Dragon God Valley? The Divine Sun swept his gaze across the room but did not see Lu Ming and the other 2. However, he didn't care too much about it. He didn't think that 3 people with the highest cultivation level of LV5 Martial Royal Realm could break his God-prohibited ancient Void Talisman. Hee, Divine Child, you've suffered a double loss today. Not far away, Wang Jian sneered. You'd better shut up. Otherwise, I'll kill you too. The Son of God said coldly. You can try. Wang Jian revealed his battle intent. The remnant's eyes flashed with an ominous glint, but he didn't make a move. Wang Jian's cultivation was at the same level as his, and he was also a peerless genius. It wouldn't be easy to kill Wang Jian. The Son of God snorted and took a step forward. He followed the hole in the Dragon Palace and rushed into it. He was going to search for any treasures left in the Dragon Palace. The moment he rushed in, his expression changed. He saw the moving dragon coffin and the door under it. The vacuum treasury. Damn it, it's the true dragon treasury. The son of God growled. With a flash of sword light, Wang Jian appeared. He swept his gaze across the room and said in a cold voice, "It seems that our hard work was taken advantage of by others." Then, the two of them rushed into the treasure vault. Looking at the empty vault, cold killing intent emanated from their bodies. This time, the two of them had worked so hard, but in the end, they had obtained nothing other than a dragon horn and a few dragon scales. Even the most important true dragon treasury had been taken by someone else. This was especially so for the divine son, who had even lost an ancient talisman. "Who is it?" The son of God roared, his killing intent as cold as a knife. Then, he flew out of the treasury and looked at the door carefully. True dragon's blood. No wonder it can open the door to the treasure vault. The son of God sensed Xue Ningxin's blood on the door, and a cold light flickered in his eyes. The real dragon's blood. It's the dragon from Dragon God Valley. It's the three ants. How dare you steal the vacuum treasure house right under my nose? You're looking for death. After a while, the son of God said in a cold voice. You're indeed very bold. Wang Jian said coldly. Then, he turned into a ray of sword light and left. Then, the son of God stepped into the air and left, his body filled with killing intent. After the divine son and Wang Jian left, the remaining martial artists below the LV7 martial royal realm flew outside the dragon palace in fear. They followed the hole and flew in to search the dragon palace, but they did not find much. Chapter 1512, 1512 Chapter 1512 13 Saint Weapons Lu Ming and the other two boarded the space-breaking flying shuttle and flew out of the area of the murderous aura very quickly. After flying out of the evil Qi area, Tian Chui turned around and flew towards the direction of the Tsang Mountains. While the shuttle was flying, Lu Ming and the other two took out the treasures from the Dragon Palace's treasury and began to divide them. First of all, there was a large pile of blacksmithing materials. There were all kinds of blacksmithing materials, both low-level and high-level. Xue Ningxin was in charge of picking out the shiny forging materials while Lu Ming and Tian Chui were free to do as they pleased. After Xue Ningxin was done picking, the two of them divided the materials and kept them. As for spirit weapons, Xue Ningxin was the same. She specifically picked the shiny and good-looking spirit weapons. As for those night-luminescent pearls, jadeite, and other gemstones that were of no use to Lu Ming and Tian Chui, Xue Ningxin's eyes lit up as she put them away, leaving Lu Ming and Tian Chui rather speechless. Finally, it was the holy weapon. There were 13 saint weapons in total, floating in the shuttle, giving off mysterious waves. The 13 saint weapons were all bright saint weapons. After all, great saint weapons were extremely rare in the Azure continent. There are 13 saint weapons in total. Well, take 4 each, and the last one will go to 8th senior sister. This time, if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have been able to open the door. What do you think, 7th senior brother? Lu Ming said. Of course you can. Tian Chui grinned. I'll take one more piece. How can I accept that? Xue Ning said in her heart, but her eyes had long been fixed on a long sword. This long sword was inlaid with 7 different colored gemstones, which were very beautiful. Senior sister, you can choose first. Lu Ming smiled. I want this sword. As soon as Lu Ming finished speaking, Xue Ningxin grabbed the sword in her hand and could not bear to let go. You guys can choose. I only need this sword. The rest is up to you. Xue Ningxin said. Then this hammer is mine. Tian Chui's eyes were fixed on a large purple gold hammer. He grabbed it in his hand and was quite satisfied. This hammer's handle is too short. Looks like you'll have to find an inscription master to reforge it. Tian Chui took the large hammer and waved it around a few times, extremely happy. Lu Ming reached out and grabbed a long spear. The spear was pitch black with a black dragon coiled around it. It looked mysterious and domineering. "I've finally obtained a holy spear." Lu Ming revealed a smile on his face. The power of the 13 strikes would definitely be stronger if he used the holy weapon spear. Unfortunately, none of the 13 saint weapons were gloves. The 3 of them were quite happy to have obtained their own saint weapons, so they could choose any of the remaining saint weapons they wanted. Lu Ming picked 3 more items, and so did the heavenly hammer. Xuaningxin kept the remaining 4 items. This trip could be said to be a fruitful one. Just a saint weapon alone was worth 1,000,000 contribution points. How many treasures could it be exchanged for? For example, he could probably exchange for a pile of nirvana pills. "I'll call this spear the Black Dragon Spear. It'll be enough for me to use for a while. I wonder when the Infinite Dragon Spear will be able to become a holy weapon." Lu Ming mumbled in a low voice. At that moment, Ming Lian sat cross-legged in the mountain and river diagram. The Infinite Dragon Spear was suspended in his palm. Pieces of precious refining materials were wrapped in golden spiritual fire and slowly integrated into the Infinite Dragon Spear. Currently, Lu Ming had a lot of precious refining materials on hand. As long as he continuously integrated precious metal materials into the Infinite Dragon Spear, it would be upgraded. Besides the inscription refinement secondary body cultivation, he would refine the Infinite Dragon Spear. This Black Dragon Spear can be refined during this period of time. Lu Ming held the Infinite Dragon Spear and was about to channel his essential core. Buzz! Right at this moment, the Black Dragon Spear began to vibrate slightly. Buzz! Buzz! Following that, the Black Dragon Spear began to shake more and more violently. The spear began to glow, and the black dragon that was wrapped around it seemed to come alive. "What's going on?" Xuaningxin and Tian Chui both looked over curiously. "I don't know." This spear suddenly started vibrating on its own. Lu Ming said. "Buzz!" The Black Dragon Spear vibrated and floated in the air. The tip of the spear pointed in a certain direction. The tip of the spear is pointing in the right direction. Could it be that there's something in that direction that's attracting the Black Dragon Spear? Lu Ming made a guess. As the shuttle flew forward, the tip of the Black Dragon Spear also turned slightly, but it always pointed in one direction. There was definitely something in that direction that was attracting the Black Dragon Spear. "Junior brother, let's go and take a look," Xuaningxin said. "All right, but you can't take the space-breaking flying shuttle," Lu Ming said. The Black Dragon Spear belonged to the Black Dragon of the Dragon Palace. The Black Dragon Spear's abnormality might be related to the Black Dragon. However, they had seen the Divine Sun and Wang Jian chasing after the Black Dragon. If the Divine Sun and Wang Jian were in front of them, they had to be on guard. The 3 of them disembarked from the shuttle. Tian Chui kept the shuttle and the 3 of them concealed their auras. Following the Black Dragon Spear's direction, they flew forward. The more he flew, the louder and more intense the Black Dragon Spear's buzzing sound became. Not long after, they flew to a mountain range. "That Black Dragon's corpse," Xuaningxin exclaimed. Lu Ming and Tian Chui both looked in the same direction. In a mountain valley, a huge black dragon lay there quietly. There was no aura coming from it, and it was motionless. The Saint Realm Black Dragon's corpse escaped. The Divine Sun and the others didn't catch it. Xuaningxin's eyes lit up. The brand on its body has completely disappeared. Lu Ming sensed for a moment. After the battle with the Divine Child and the others, the inextinguishable brand on the Black Dragon's corpse had already disappeared. Now, it had truly become a dragon corpse. The 3 of them flew down the hill. Lu Ming and Tian Chui exchanged a look, their eyes burning with passion. "Eighth junior sister, this," Tian Chui hesitated, not knowing what to say for a moment. This dragon's corpse was definitely priceless, but Xuaningxin was a true dragon, just like the Black Dragon. If they touched the dragon's corpse, who knew what Xuaningxin would think? Therefore, Lu Ming and Tian Chui were a little hesitant. Are you guys worried about me? There's no need for that. Whether it's the human race or the demon race, cultivation is all about pillaging. Pillaging the original qi of heaven and earth, pillaging the heaven and earth, pillaging others, even if we're of the same race. Moreover, this is a black dragon, a different race from me. Xuaningxin said. With that, a saint weapon longsword appeared in Xuaningxin's hand. She stabbed it into the dragon's head and dug out a crystal. The dragon crystal was condensed after the true dragon tribe entered the saint realm. It was like the saint heart of human warriors. This dragon crystal belongs to me now. It'll be of great help to my cultivation. Xuaningxin said. Alright, ha. Little junior brother, what do you need? Tian Chui asked Lu Ming. I just need some dragon bones. Lu Ming said. The effect of the dragon bones on Lu Ming's cultivation of the dragon god combat body was second only to the blood essence of a true dragon. However, this true dragon had been dead for who knew how many years, and its blood essence had long dissipated. Chapter 1513, 1513 Chapter 1513 One after another. That's good. Junior brother, the dragon bones are yours and the dragon meat is mine. I have the barbarian dragon combat body. By devouring vacuum flesh and blood, I can slowly increase the level of my spirit body. Tian Chui grinned. It can increase the level of the spirit body? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He was secretly shocked. This seventh senior brother was really not simple. Naturally, he didn't believe that Tian Chui's increase in spirit body grade was an increase in quantity. It was most likely an increase in the essence of the spirit body. His dragon god combat body was condensed from the bloodline of the 9 dragons. Refining the dragon bones and dragon blood could increase the level of the dragon body. He didn't expect Tian Chui to be able to do the same. It seemed that he was not the only one in the world who had a strange physique that could increase the level of a spirit body. He just didn't know if Tian Chui's speed of improvement was as fast as his. At once, Lu Ming and Tian Chui separated the black dragon's flesh and bones. Tian Chui kept the true dragon's flesh and Lu Ming kept the dragon's bones. As for the dragon's skin and scales, they were all rare treasures. They could be used to make leather armors and battle armors with amazing defensive power, so the 3 of them split them equally. 8th junior sister, 9th junior brother, let's find a place to cultivate. Tian Chui was somewhat eager to try. All right. Lu Ming nodded. He had the same intention. Xuaningxin was the same. The 3 of them rose into the air and left. Not long after, the 3 of them came to a huge mountain range 1,000,000 miles away. They each opened up a cave dwelling in the mountain range and entered the cave dwelling to begin cultivating. After Lu Ming entered the cave abode, he entered the mountain and river diagram and took out the dragon bone. The weight of the entire dragon bone was extremely shocking. However, because this true dragon had been dead for many years, it had lost a lot of its spiritual essence. All in all, it was still many times more precious than the piece of dragon bone that Lu Ming had bought in the Dragon God Valley. Devour. A powerful devouring force burst out from Lu Ming's body and enveloped the entire dragon bone. The spiritual essence of the true dragon was constantly being devoured and absorbed by Lu Ming. It fused with his body and transformed it, making it stronger. This cultivation lasted for half a month. Within half a month, Lu Ming had completely refined the entire day's worth of dragon bones. Only some impurities were left, which had turned into ashes and scattered all over the mountain and river diagram. Roar! There seemed to be 9 dragons in Lu Ming's body. At this moment, a dragon's roar was heard. Then, the shadow of the 9 dragons rushed out of Lu Ming's body, and a powerful pressure filled the air. The muscles on Lu Ming's body squirmed slightly and calmed down after a while. His body was holy and pure, full of power. A superior earth spiritual body. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a bright light. Although this dragon bone had been dead for many years and had lost a lot of its spiritual essence, it was still too complete. The energy added together still allowed Lu Ming's spirit body to complete the transformation and achieve evolution, entering a superior grade spirit body. What powerful strength! Lu Ming felt that he was full of energy. His every move was earth-shattering. It's much stronger than a medium-grade earth spiritual body. Lu Ming waved his palm casually. The void rumbled and a terrifying sonic boom was heard. Although his current cultivation was still at the third level of the martial royal realm, his combat strength was much stronger than before. No wonder a superior grade earth spiritual body was considered one of the top physiques in the Azure region. In the vast Tsang region, there were only a limited number of people with superior grade earth spiritual bodies. Every single one of them was a terrifying heaven's favorite. It was said that the top 10 geniuses of the Azure region all had superior earth spiritual bodies. I wonder if 7th senior brother and 8th senior sister have finished their cultivation. With a single thought, Lu Ming exited the mountain and river diagram and flew out of the cave abode. He sensed that Tian Chui and Xuaningxin were still cultivating. Lu Ming returned to the cave abode. This time, he did not enter the mountain and river diagram. Instead, he cultivated in the cave abode that he had opened up temporarily. Lu Ming took out a large pile of raw gemstones and prepared to refine them to improve his cultivation. His primal chaos domain was about to reach the peak of level 4, and his cultivation would naturally increase as well. 5 days passed in the blink of an eye as the large pile of raw gemstones was refined. For the past 5 days, Lu Ming did not stop for a moment. He devoured and refined raw gemstones madly. Even he himself did not know how many raw gemstones he had devoured and refined. Boom! A powerful aura burst out from Lu Ming's body. This was the aura that belonged to a 4th level martial emperor. Lu Ming had finally broken through the 4th level and entered the ranks of the middle stage martial emperors. Lu Ming's combat strength had undoubtedly exploded once again after he had stepped into the 4th level martial emperor realm. Lu Ming's current combat strength was at least several times stronger than when he was in the Dragon Palace. At this moment, Lu Ming also felt 2 powerful fluctuations nearby. They only quieted down after a long while. Senior brother Tian Chui and senior sister Xue have also broken through. Lu Ming's heart stirred and he rushed out of the cave abode. Buzz! Buzz! As soon as Lu Ming came out, Tian Chui and Xuaningxin rushed out as well. The aura on their bodies was shocking. Senior brother, senior sister, you've broken through. Lu Ming said with a smile. Ha, I've eaten a lot of true dragon meat. I didn't expect my cultivation to break through to LV6 Martial Emperor realm in one go. Tian Chui laughed. However, Lu Ming sensed that Tian Chui's spirit body had improved, but it was not particularly significant and could not be compared with his improvement. This was not surprising. After all, his spiritual body was condensed from the bloodline of the 9 dragons. Few in the world could compare to his dragon god combat body. For Tian Chui's spiritual body to be able to slowly increase in strength was already extremely shocking. I've refined the dragon crystal and my cultivation has broken through to the 6th rank. Xuaningxin said. This time, the 3 of them had gained a lot, and their strength had skyrocketed. Tian Chui and Xuaningxin already had amazing battle strength. Now that they had reached the LV6 Martial Royal Realm, they were even more terrifying. We'll be in closed-door cultivation here for 20 days. There's still a month before the treasure sealing assembly. Let's hurry to the Tsang Mountains. Xuaningxin said. Let's go. Tian Chui took out his flying shuttle, and the 3 of them entered it, quickly flying towards the Tsang Mountains. 7 days later, they finally neared the Tsang Mountains. During these 7 days, they didn't idle around and refined the appropriate holy weapons they obtained. In front of them, a majestic mountain appeared. The 3 of them left the shuttle and looked into the distance. The Tsang mountain was too majestic and vast. It stood between heaven and earth, its peak piercing through the clouds like a pillar of the world. With Lu Ming and the rest's current cultivation, as long as there were no obstacles blocking their vision, they could see the scene tens of thousands of miles away clearly from them. However, they could not see the edge of the gray mountain at all, which showed how big it was. The 3 of them flew toward the gray mountain. Boom! Suddenly, there was a roar in front of them. Then, they saw 2 figures cross each other, and a blade light burst out. With a scream, a figure was cut in half, and blood splattered on the spot. A young man with a saber on his back appeared. He absorbed his essential core and put away the storage ring of the dead man. He glanced at Lu Ming and the others with a lightning-like gaze before he flew away. The people from the intentionless saber sect. Tian Chui said with a grin. Chapter 1514, 1514 Chapter 1514 Emperor Tsang's Dao Corroboration Grounds. It seems that the Tsang Mountains are not peaceful. Lu Ming said. Indeed. The Tsang region's treasure sealing assembly is held once every 3 years. The 13 top sects of the Tsang region and countless geniuses will gather at the Tsang Mountains. Some of the 13 top sects have grudges with each other, and fights often break out. Now that they've gathered at the Tsang Mountains, it's normal for them to start killing each other over a single disagreement. Xuanixin explained. 3 years ago, Xuanixin had come to the Tsang Mountains, so she knew more. The Tsang Mountain is the place where Emperor Tsang corroborated his Tao and became an emperor. Therefore, there have been many experts, including great saints and absolute saints, who came to pay their respects to the place where Emperor Tsang corroborated his Tao. Therefore, there are many heavenly Tao inscriptions left by experts in the Tsang Mountain, which usually attracts many people. Let's go and take a look. Maybe we can gain some enlightenment. Xuanixin said. There's actually such a place, of course we have to go. Tian Chui revealed a look of anticipation. Then, Xuanixin led the way, and the 3 of them flew towards the east side of the Tsang Mountain. The closer they got to the Grey Mountain, the more they felt that it was extraordinary. It was as if there was an extremely powerful force, or as if there was a great emperor lying dormant here. They could not help but admire it. As he flew, he could see that there were many buildings built in many parts of the Tsang Mountain. Although there were no top sects in the Tsang Mountains, there were still some small forces here. Soon, the 3 of them landed on a small path. There's a canyon in front of us. There's a palm print left by a Supreme Saint Senior. It's very mysterious. I came here 3 years ago to study it, and I gained a lot. Xuanning said in her heart. She took the lead and walked forward. After walking for a while, a valley entrance appeared in front of them. However, there were 2 young men standing guard at the entrance. Stop, this road is blocked. The 2 young men blocked their way. One of them said coldly. What do you mean? Xuanixin's eyes turned cold. This place has already been reserved by my Tianxin sect. You guys can go to other places. A young man sneered. Your heaven god sect reserved it. How laughable. This place belongs to the whole world and anyone can come here. How come I don't know that this place has become the territory of your Tianxin sect? Xuanixin sneered. I said I've reserved it, so I've reserved it. Hurry up and get lost. A young man from the heavenly god sect berated in an overbearing manner. The heaven god sect is really overbearing. Tian Chui's eyes flickered with an ominous glint. If it wasn't for the fact that he could sense many powerful auras within the valley, he would have already attacked. Let's go to another place. A murderous glint flashed across Xuanixin's eyes. However, she still pulled on Tian Chui and Lu Ming and turned to leave. Stop. Don't let them go. At this moment, a cold roar came from the valley. Stop! The two young men who were guarding the door moved in a flash and blocked the way of Lu Ming and the other two. Buzz! Buzz! And NBSP whoosh. In the canyon, the sound of the air being torn could be heard. 5 young men rushed out and surrounded Lu Ming and the other two. Shi Tian. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a cold glint. Among the 5 people who rushed out, one of them was Shi Tian, the young leader who had entered the great emperor's secret realm from the heavenly gods sect. Ha, Lu Ming, it's you. Shi Tian laughed, his face cold. He looked at Lu Ming with a cold killing intent. Lu Ming, you have killed so many of my Tianshan sect's disciples in the Emperor Tsung's secret realm. Today, you don't need to leave. Just leave your life here. A powerful aura emanated from Shi Tian's body as he locked onto Lu Ming. Back in the Emperor Tsung's secret realm, before the secret realm collapsed, Lu Ming had gone on a killing spree and killed many disciples of the Tianshan sect. This made Shi Tian hate Lu Ming to the core. Junior brother Shi Tian, you don't need to do anything to kill this man. I'll help you kill him. A young man on the stone horizon said. No need, I'm going to kill this person myself. Shi Tian waved his hand and stepped forward. Boom! The aura on his body skyrocketed and only stopped when it reached the 4th level of the martial royal realm. Shi Tian had obtained an inheritance in the Emperor Tsung's secret realm. After he returned, he was heavily nurtured by the Tianshan sect. In addition to his high talent, his cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds, breaking through to the LV4 martial royal realm in one go. With the inheritance, his combat strength was even more terrifying. This time, he was confident that he could kill Lu Ming and wash away the shame. Lu Ming, die! Holy light burst out from Shi Tian's body. A spear of divine punishment was formed, piercing through the air like a bolt of white lightning. With an extremely sharp aura, it stabbed toward Lu Ming. An ordinary LV4 or LV5 martial royal realm expert would have been killed by this move. However, Lu Ming was not an ordinary martial artist. In an instant, the spear of God's punishment was about to pierce Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming stretched out his hand and grabbed the spear. The spear stopped in front of Lu Ming, unable to move an inch. Kill him! Shi Tian roared. His Jin Yuan and realm burst out and poured into the spear of God punishment. However, the spear seemed to be fixed in place and couldn't move. Shi Tian's eyes widened and the veins on his face bulged. He exerted all his strength, but Lu Ming's hand was as solid as a rock. No matter how he roared, it was useless. How is that possible? Shi Tian roared in his heart, he couldn't believe it. This is your combat strength? Lu Ming said coldly. The muscles in his body trembled and a dragon's roar was heard. He clenched his fist. Bang! Shi Tian's spear of divine punishment exploded. Boom! Then, Lu Ming clenched his fist and threw a punch at Shi Tian. Shi Tian subconsciously crossed his arms in front of his body. Boom! Lu Ming's punch landed on Shi Tian's arms. Both of Shi Tian's arms exploded. He screamed in pain and flew backward, spitting out a large mouthful of blood. Although they were both at the LV4 martial royal realm, Shi Tian could not fight back at all and was easily crushed by Lu Ming. Kill, kill, attack together, kill them all. Shi Tian roared crazily. At the same time, his spiritual body glowed and quickly repaired his broken arm. You're looking for death. Kill. The other young men of the heavenly divine sect roared in anger. Their auras exploded and holy light filled the air. Terrifying attacks poured down on Lu Ming. 2 of the 6th-level martial emperors aimed at Lu Ming. Kill, die. Lu Ming shouted and activated the divine sword technique. The two fifth-level martial royal realm martial artists' souls trembled and their vital essence became chaotic. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming stepped forward and struck out two palms. The two LV5 martial royal realm young men were killed by Lu Ming. "I'll slaughter you sons of bitches." On the other side, Tian Shui and Xuaningxin also made their moves. The highest cultivation among these people was only at the 6th level of the martial royal realm. They were no match for Tian Shui and the others at all. As soon as they exchanged blows, two of them were smashed to death by Tian Shui's hammer and two were killed by Xuaningxin's fists. All of a sudden, Shi Tian was left alone. Chapter 15:15, 15:15 Killing Shi Tian. Shi Tian's face turned pale. "How dare you all," Shi Tian roared. "I'll kill you now." Lu Ming stepped forward and charged at Shi Tian. Shi Tian's figure retreated madly, his mouth shouting, "Senior brother, save me. How dare you kill the disciples of my heavenly god's sect? Die!" At this moment, a cold murderous intent rushed out of the canyon. A huge palm print made of holy light came toward Lu Ming. This palm was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming had a feeling that if he was hit by this palm, he would be killed. "Leave it to me. I'll do it." Tian Shui and Xuaningxin rushed out at the same time. Tian Shui raised the giant hammer in his hand, and the muscles all over his body bulged. Like a wild dragon, he smashed the hammer towards the palm print. Roar! Xuaningxin let out a dragon's roar as her body emitted a cold aura. Her fists seemed to have turned into ice and snow as she threw out two punches. Tian Shui and Xuaningxin's attacks clashed with the palm print at the same time. Boom! Boom! With two earth-shaking explosions, Tian Shui and Xuaningxin both groaned as their bodies were sent flying. However, the palm print was also greatly weakened and continued to attack Lu Ming. Lu Ming's glabella shone and a shield appeared. It flew forward and blocked the palm print. At the same time, a long spear was formed in Lu Ming's hand. He swung the long spear, and like a flash of lightning, it stabbed towards Shi Tian. This move was astonishingly fast. It directly pierced through Shi Tian's defense and his dantian, nailing him to the ground. "I hate," Shi Tian roared, full of unwillingness, but in the next moment, there was no breath left. He had been killed by Lu Ming. Boom! The palm print hit the shield and it was sent flying. It shrank rapidly and flew into Lu Ming's glabella, disappearing. However, this shield was a holy weapon and it successfully blocked the attack. "You're looking for death." A shocking aura burst out from the canyon. A roar was heard as the terrifying aura rushed out of the canyon. "Not good. Let's go." Lu Ming roared and soared into the sky. At the same time, Tian Shui and Xuaningxin also rose into the air and flew away. Buzz! A young man rushed out of the canyon, his body exuding a shocking killing intent. He glared at Lu Ming and the other two and roared, "After killing the disciples of my heavenly god sect, you still want to escape? Kill!" The young man turned into a ray of holy light and chased after Lu Ming and the rest at an alarming speed. So fast. Lu Ming was shocked. The other party's speed was too fast. He was approaching them at an extreme speed. Whoosh! The other party waved his hand and slashed out a ray of holy light. The holy light streaked across the void and headed for Lu Ming. At the last moment, Lu Ming killed Shi Tian. This made the other party target Lu Ming. Shi Tian was a rare heaven's favorite in the Tianqin sect. In the Emperor Tsang's secret realm, he had received the inheritance and was heavily nurtured. But now, he was killed by Lu Ming. "Junior brother, be careful!" Tian Shui shouted. The holy light was so fast that it approached Lu Ming in an instant. Whoosh! Black wings extended from Lu Ming's back, protecting his body. Clang! The holy light struck the black wings, causing them to tremble violently. Lu Ming's body was sent flying like a cannonball. So strong. Lu Ming felt his qi and blood surging in his body, and a stream of blood spilled from his mouth. Even with the black wings to block, he was still blasted to the point of spitting blood. It was clear how strong the other party's attack was. LV9 Martial Royal Realm. Furthermore, he was a top heaven's favorite with shocking battle prowess. Junior brother, how are you? Shui Xan called out in concern. I'm fine. We can't go on like this. They'll catch up to us sooner or later. Senior brothers and sisters, let go of your bodies and minds. Don't resist. Lu Ming shouted. All right. Tian Chui and Xuaningxin subconsciously nodded. Lu Ming waved his hand and the mountain and river diagram appeared. He kept Tian Chui and Xuaningxin into the mountain and river diagram. Then, he activated the wind element technique. With a flap of his black wings, his figure was like a black lightning, rushing forward at an extreme speed. His speed was not slower than the divine sky sex paragons behind him. The heavens god sex paragon's expression changed. The killing intent on his face grew stronger as he glared at Lu Ming. The holy light on his body burned like a ball of white flames. He sped up and followed closely behind Lu Ming. Who is that? What a shocking fluctuation. That's the top heavens pride expert of the heavenly god sect, Shi Guan. Who's the person running ahead? He's actually being chased by Shi Guan. That person is not ordinary either. That pair of wings is a holy weapon. The two of them, one chasing and one escaping, also attracted the attention of others. It's that guy, Lu Ming. In front of Lu Ming, there were a few black-robed young men. They heard the commotion and looked over. When one of them saw Lu Ming, his eyes flashed with killing intent. These people were the disciples of the Tianyu demon sect. The person who had spoken was Emohi. He's being chased by the stone crown. Let's stop that Lu Ming. Emohi said coldly. He unsheathed his demonic blade and slashed at Lu Ming with a ray of light. Lu Ming, who was flying at high speed, narrowed his eyes and used his black wings to block in front of him. Bang! The demonic blade slashed at the black-feathered wings. Lu Ming's body trembled as his figure was blocked. Lu Ming, let's see how you die today. Mohe's eyes were cold. He stood in front of Lu Ming, his demonic qi soaring to the sky. Back then, he was ordered to kill Lu Ming. In the end, not only did he fail to kill Lu Ming, but the 5 7th-level martial emperors who followed him all died. Even he himself was tricked by Lu Ming's formation. He lost an arm and even his storage ring. During this period of time, he had been thinking about revenge at all times. He did not expect to meet Lu Ming here. Moreover, Lu Ming was being hunted down by the experts of the Heaven Deity sect. Of course, he would not hesitate to take action. Mohe, I'll kill you sooner or later. Lu Ming said coldly. His figure flashed and he was about to rush to the other side. Stay here. Mohe shouted coldly. His demonic blade slashed horizontally and instantly slashed out 10 blade rays. Now, Mohe's arm that was cut off by Lu Ming had grown back. His cultivation had reached the peak of the 6th-level martial emperor realm. Mohe was a superior grade earth spiritual body, and his combat strength was extremely shocking. Lu Ming did not take it head-on. His black wings slashed across like a heavenly blade, breaking Mohe's blade aura and rushing past. Stay! The two disciples of the Tianyu demonic sect who were with Mohe unsheathed their demonic blades and charged at Lu Ming. They were two youths at the peak of the 5th-level martial monarch realm. Their combat strength was not weak. At the same time, the stone crown behind him was already approaching. Kill, die! Lu Ming roared. 2 rays of black light flashed in his eyes and he charged at the 2 disciples of the Sky Demon sect. The 2 of them shuddered. At this moment, Lu Ming waved his hand and the black dragon spear appeared. It turned into 2 spearlights and stabbed at the 2 disciples of the Sky Demon sect. The spear radiance contained the technique of 13 accumulated strikes. 10 bursts of power burst out and pierced through the 2 people's attacks and defenses. The 2 disciples of the Tianyu demonic sect were dead. Die. At this moment, Shi Guan arrived. He condensed a spear of divine punishment in his hand and pierced it towards Lu Ming. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.